Just a quick word on that. Obviously, you missed the test because you were close to your family in America. Do you think if you'd have been at the test, you would have got a little bit of an edge for this qualifying?
Darren Appleton. The Jason Owen Open. 128 people started and we're down to 2. Those 2 happen to be 2 of the top Scottish players in the world. First of all, Scott Gillespie. Good luck, mate. And our second finalist, we've just seen him take out Tom Cousins, Liam Dunster. Best of luck. Best of 21 frames. We have a timekeeper and a referee. Lynn and George will look after you. Enjoy the final, everybody.
Good evening and welcome to the final of the Supreme Pool Series. And blazing down either side of the arena when two worlds collide. And these two finalists, very much from the same place. They are a couple of die-hard black players, both from Scotland. I'm joined in the commentary box by two legends of the game, in Gareth Potts and Darren Appleton. Good evening, gents.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And for me, what I've seen so far this weekend, and obviously I haven't seen every single match, but from what I have seen, I think this is a deserved final. Both of these guys have played great, and I did say when we did the voiceover, Nick, on the when the draw came out, that I did think that Farnsworth was favourite, but I did say that I think that he'd probably drew the player that, when he finds a gear, probably has the most firepower out of the 8 players, and I think that's exactly what he did to Farnsworth. And I just spoke to Ronan, and he said that he'd basically done exactly the same to him. Ronan said he struggled a little bit, but he just said that Scott was just absolutely brilliant and just had too much for him. And to be honest, the same with Liam. The field that Liam's come through to get to the final, obviously he's beat Shaw, and then he's just beat Cousins, and I did watch both of those matches, and he's one of those players to me where he just does all of the simple things so good. He doesn't look flash, and I know he gets a bit of criticism for playing slow and methodical, but he just looks like he's not going to make a mistake, and the finishes that you're supposed to get, he gets and makes them look as easy as they actually are. They are sometimes. And what I mean by that is that, his cue ball's not all around the world, and he's right behind everything, and he's just very, very solid. So it's going to be interesting to see how this match unfolds, because it is a bit of a contrast in styles.
Okay, just to let everyone know that we are now streaming across 2 platforms. We're streaming on YouTube and on Facebook. So if you've got a smart TV, you can set it up on YouTube and watch it through there. And also you'll find us on Facebook. If there's problems with either platform, you can switch to the other. We are streaming through, you'll find the links through Players Pool Events, and also I think through Beard Productions, and you'll find all the links on playerspoolevents.com. And we get into this final. And
I commentated on Ronan and Scott, and commentated on Scott's quarter-final match, and it's the first time I've really seen him play, except for Chinese 8-ball, and I was really surprised how good he plays. It's a ball with a lot of authority, and he's out of the final 8 players what were left, except for Tom Cousin. I think he got the best break, and he pockets the balls really strong. So, like Gareth says, I told Jason Shaw after the semis that I think the best 2 players today, especially, are in the final.
Yeah.
So with no respect to Tom Cousins, but the way he sort of squeezed through a couple of matches today, he basically went to the well once. He
looked a bit vulnerable, didn't he?
And, and he had a chance to win as well, but you can't keep getting away with it,
And some of the finishes that Liam took out under pressure, they were just clinical, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, from 10-6 down, he played perfect. Like Gareth says, he keeps the game simple.
So I'll be interested to hear your score predictions at home. Just let us know in the chat box. And I'd also ask the same question to you two gents. Who do you fancy? I'll put you on the spot.
Well, I'd go for Scott just because of the break. I think he's got a better break, but that doesn't mean he's going to make more balls than Liam in this particular match. But I think just on the break alone, I just think, and like Gareth says, I think Scott's got that bit more firepower. So if he finds his top gear and he breaks the way he has been breaking, I think he'll probably just overpower Liam. But if it comes scrappy, then obviously Liam's got a great chance.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. He has obviously got a big break, as you've just seen there in that first frame. He absolutely crunched them, potted about 4 balls. He actually went reds, and I think there was only sort of 3 or 4 yellows left on the table. I completely agree. I think he's just going to overpower him. One thing I will say with that, though, is obviously these 2 guys are both from Scotland and know each other well and practice together quite a bit. So Liam will be familiar with what Scott can do, and I don't think he'll be scared of it just because he'll have seen it so much, especially in practice. So he'll know what he's capable of, and it's not as though he's playing somebody that he doesn't know and maybe has never played or only played a few times, and it's a bit like, wow, this guy's sort of giving it to me. He'll be used to seeing it because obviously they are from Scotland, and when you practice with someone, you do get to, feel the way they play, and you do get to, feel that you can win, irrelevant of how good they are.
Yeah, and I would think we're both living in Scotland. I mean, I would think that these two are the best two players in Scotland at English 8-ball, or what I know, or two of the best anyway. So I'm guessing they've played each other a lot in Scotland, especially in like big finals over there.
Yeah, there would be these two, and obviously Mark Boyle would be in that mix.
Yeah, and Scott Ross. And
Scott Ross would be that would.
Yeah, so
would
I'm guessing they play
four.
each other a lot, and I would imagine Liam probably looks up to Scott because Liam's only about 23, 24. So obviously, like you say, I think he'd be comfortable.
Just to underline the point you made there, Gaz, Liam played Jason Shaw earlier on today, and there's a player that he would probably idolise. He'd probably look up to him because of what he's achieved in the game, and he wasn't intimidated in the slightest. So this shouldn't hold any fears for him.
No, and that's something that's impressive. I did meet Liam out in China last year when he played in the one of the Joy events, and he actually did quite well in that. Surprisingly to me, I didn't know him then, but he did do quite well in that, and I was quite surprised. And the reason why I'm saying I was quite surprised is for that exact reason that you can see there. His cue is a long way away from his chest, and technically wise, if you were to start coaching somebody and start teaching them the fundamentals, one of the first things that you would teach them is, obviously, you go through the stance, the hand, the grip. One thing you would show them is that you would have the cue on the chest, and the reason you have that is you use the chest as a guide. His cue is quite a long way away from his chest, and when I saw him first play at the Chinese 8-ball, I did think, I'm not sure how that's going to hold up under pressure at this Chinese game, and that's the reason why I said surprisingly he did do quite well at it. So that is the only time I'd seen him play, but what I've seen this week here has massively impressed me, and I know, like I say, he does get criticism for being a little bit slow and methodical, and I've seen a lot of stuff on social media written about him, and to be honest, when he's playing out here under this shot clock, it suits him. Yeah. Yes, he's a little bit sort of, he addresses the cue ball slow, he makes certain everything, but he looks comfortable, he doesn't look rushed.
Yeah, I think some players can bog themselves down. I think there's quite a lot of slow players in general. When they go on the shot clock, they play at a nice speed, not too slow, not too quick, and usually, I mean, especially 8-ball, I mean, usually your first instinct's right anyway.
Yeah, and what can happen when there isn't a shot on it, and what people that play slow generally do when they have a bad time or have bad spells or bad matches, what you find that they're doing wrong is when they're taking so much time, they're generally just looking for problems.
Yeah, and he's probably one of them kids, actually. Probably looking for problems that are not there, so he looks comfortable in the arena, especially against Tom. I mean, to come back from 10-6 down to beat Tom, and the way he closed out the match was really impressive. But like I say, I think he's good. He'll be good on any equipment just because of his style. He's going to be tough to beat. He's going to pull up any trees, but he's going to be very tough to beat. Type of guy.
He's got a quite compact stance, and he's kind of like a crouching position. He leans towards the table and then moves in. It's not kind of conventional.
Yeah, it's not. And the one thing that I noticed first, like I said, when I first saw him play in China, the one thing that stuck out to me was how far away his cue is from his chest. There's a huge gap. I don't know if we can get a shot of it on this next one.
I've actually never heard of him until this tournament, so that's a bit naive on my part, but that's just because I'm not involved in English 8-ball anymore, but I just never heard of him. So when people say, no, I have a bet on this guy, and I have a bet on this guy, and I'm thinking, who is he like?
Yeah.
So, it's nice to see the fresh blood coming through.
So we brought you you could see his stance there, but fortunately, because obviously he's playing the shot this way, the cue was on the other side, so you couldn't see. Maybe we'll get one in a minute that you can see, but his cue is maybe sort of 6 to 8 inches away from his body, and the reason why I said that's a little bit suspect.
See a lot of 9-ball players like that.
Yeah, because obviously the 9-ball
Oliver
players,
Hartman.
they play, and Ralph Suke, they play with a wrap on the cue, and obviously if you were to hold it tight to your chest with a wrap on your cue, and I've actually tried, and obviously the cue doesn't move, but and that's why I said about when you're under pressure, I'm not sure how that's going to sort of hold up, but he isn't doing too bad so far, is he?
Yeah, end of the day, I mean, everyone's got slightly different style. I mean, you've seen some great snooker players with wonky cue actions. I mean, fundamentals, what you wouldn't even dream of having, like Dave Harold. You know what I mean? So as long as he delivers a cue in a straight line, and it's obviously working for him.
Yeah.
But he don't look like he's got that big firepower stroke, but he's very steady. He's a bit like Ronin in some ways.
So yeah, just ran up position slightly. He's had a nice kiss there.
Yeah, he got away with that one.
Yeah.
He sort of pulled out of that shot, I guess.
Yeah. So you'd expect him now to draw this one level.
I didn't realise the difference between this white ball and compared to the old cue ball, what we used to play with, because I've never played this cue ball before.
Right, I didn't realise you'd never played with this.
So
Yeah.
I've sort of got that little mindset that it's going to go a bit wider than what it actually is.
Yeah, and I think that it generally is around 2 grams heavier.
Yeah, I never used it.
And I remember the first time this cue ball was brought in was, it was the first time I won the world title in 2005.
Oh yeah, I was there. Yeah.
That's
the same time I used it.
Well, no, 2005 was, and then what happened was they bought it in 2006.
Yeah, that's
3
it, yeah.
days into the tournament.
I remember now. Yeah, that's the last time. That's the first and only last time I played with a cue ball.
Yeah, and that was why, for me, obviously none of us had ever even seen one of these cue balls before, and then 3 days into the tournament, obviously I was the defending champion, you know, I'd been playing all the hours under the sun ready to defend my title, and 3 days in,
they never told us.
They never told us, and we turned up and we got these cue balls on the practice tables. We turned up for a team match, and they said, "Oh, by the way, you're playing with these cue balls today."
And believe it or not, I think it suited me and Mark Selby that year, because I'd just started playing American pool.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, this is not too bad. And Mark Selby's obviously come from snooker. So,
yeah.
And we both got to the final that year.
That's it, yeah.
So Liam Dunster with this just off straight black to draw things level at 1 apiece.
I think it is better cue ball, but
yeah, and
it looks better anyway.
It looks better, and you know, let's be honest, the ball should all be the same size.
Yeah.
The only reason it originates that the cue ball is smaller than the object balls is in the old pub days with the old mechanism in the pool table. When you used to pop the cue ball, it used to go down a different track and obviously come out the other end, rather than you have to put your money in it again to get the cue ball out. That's why it originated to be smaller, and it's just stayed that way. And it should be the same size, and it does make a little bit of in my opinion, a mockery of it, and it doesn't make any sense of why it isn't the same anymore.
Yeah, but when you were playing, like when you grow up and you're playing it, you didn't really see the difference or the negatives of it. But when you start playing other disciplines and then you go back to it, you think, well, this is stupid.
Yeah, exactly like the rules as well, in all fairness. You know,
rules,
at the time you grow
I
up...
thought world rules were unbelievable.
Yeah, at the time we grew up playing world rules, and you think that they're the best thing ever, and you don't know any different.
Yeah, I'm telling people back home, I think, I've made these rules in Australia. Must have been on a right bender.
If I could ask you, you guys at home, if you would be so kind, you're obviously watching across YouTube and Facebook, if you would hit the share button, just to get the stream out across your Facebook pages. It will help to promote us and promote the game, promote this event, and also allow the people on your timeline and your friends to watch this amazing spectacle of pool. So you're watching the final of the Supreme Pool Series, the Jason Owen Open. This is event 1. The 2 finalists from Scotland.
And Darren was just talking about how good he thinks Scott's break is. You get a chance to look at it here.
Yeah, I wish I knew that. He's been making balls from this spot all day, and I was breaking to the other side mainly.
Wow, hit that like a dream. See, he parked the cue ball.
Yeah.
And he's potted like 3 balls again. I think he potted 4 maybe on the first break. Okay.
Yeah, he's definitely got the right spot on the table.
Yeah, but and he hits them nice as well.
Yeah, that's nice. That is.
Watch the cue ball here.
He's timing it really good.
It just goes bang and then stops.
Yeah, it's a perfect break. He's been lucky that the cue ball got kicked.
He is, because he's now got this. He's going to go yellows, and he's got this yellow into the bottom middle pocket as you look at that screen.
And it's a tough finish, really.
So obviously looking at problems on the table, the 2 balls tied up on the side cushion. What will be the plan for those?
Well, one goes, but this one on the tied up close against the red, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Because he'll only really get one chance to knock it out.
You know what? When he pots this, he could leave an angle on the one in the middle. Oh, when I say when he pots it, he's missed it.
Yeah, it might not be. It might not be a bad miss actually.
Obviously, at World Rules, he's nominated yellows. Because he made one off the break, he is on yellows.
Yeah. Yeah, you won't think there's such a good thing as a bad miss, but that might be a good miss. Because he's got a really tough out if he's going reds.
Yeah.
Because when you bring your bad balls out, obviously we all know, I mean, the top players, they know that they want to attack them early and guarantee another shot after you bring your ball out. You want that insurance ball.
Yeah, so when you're playing a cannon of any sort, you don't want to have to rely on landing on the ball that you're trying to cannon. You always want to leave yourself as many options as possible, so it doesn't matter where the ball goes that you're cannoning into. You're always going to be on something else.
Yeah, but very attacking player is Scott, so I think he'll definitely be the aggressor of the two in this match.
So we mentioned already that there's 2 Scottish players in the final. So I just wonder what kind of odds the bookie would have given on that pre-event, considering that there were, I believe, only 6 Scottish entrants.
I know that Scott Gillespie was 50-1 at the start of the tournament.
But I mean, it's quite an incredible stat, isn't it? Mark
I think
Ball,
Liam was also.
There might be some others that have got incorrect flags against them, but Mark Ball, Jordan Templeton, Mark Fleming, Scott Gillespie, Liam Dunster, and Jason Shaw. That's your 6 players. Who would have called it all Scottish final from that?
Yeah, you've got good odds on that. I know they were given 11-4 from the semis. I thought that was generous.
Yeah, yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, Scott, a really nice guy, Scott, as well. I really like Scott. I got to know him quite well the few times I have met him. But I never realised that he was such a good player. I know he was a good player, but I've not seen him play so much on the world scene, so I didn't realise he was this good. A few guys here actually surprised me.
Yeah, and obviously the only time you would have seen him play is out in China, and as you know how difficult it is out there. So when people are going out there to try and play on on those tables, it's they're not necessarily doing themselves justice because it is so difficult, and this is the game that Scott plays.
He actually did okay. Actually, I think he got to the last 32. He qualified, and I think he got last 32. That was last year. So he's a good potter, isn't he? So
he's going after this as well here.
I really like his game.
What about that for a shot?
Very good. He hits the ball very, very, very nicely and gets a lot of reaction.
So
tough shot here, though.
He has got a tough shot, and I don't know if he can grip the cue ball enough to screw across and miss the 2 reds. If he can't, he's going to have to go top cushion, side cushion, and around the back of them.
Yeah.
No, he's not. He's playing the one down the rail.
This is even better if he can do this. Yeah, he's not scared to take on a tougher shot. Like a lot of people there go for the easy option and try and work around that ball, but he's just straight down, fires it in.
I notice Mike Day makes a relevant point on YouTube that he says he proves that top English 8-ball players are great at either rule set. Warren last year won the Supreme Masters, which was black ball. So, it's either players can adapt. Yeah,
they can adapt. One thing I will say is this new short rack has had a huge impact on this because when you use a triangle, you get a lot more scrappier frames than we've had this weekend. Now, if you don't know the world rules and you've got a scrappy frame and you're playing against somebody that does know the rules properly, then you are in a bit of trouble. It's almost like a game of chess where you're going to be a move behind. So I will say that the rack has obviously made it equal for everybody that all 15 balls are touching.
Yeah.
It's made the break easier and the balls split easier. So therefore what I mean is you haven't seen anywhere near as many tactical frames as you would see racking them up with the triangle.
Yeah.
And well, I think that proves it that you've got 2 guys here in the final. I mean, I went out there just before this final started and congratulated Liam to say well done, good performance. And he actually went, I'm really shocked. It's exceeded my expectations. He said, because, to be honest, I've only played a couple of times at these rules. I only learnt them last week.
Oh, wow. That's
Now,
amazing.
Yeah, but like Gareth says, I mean, the rules don't even come into play.
Yeah, they haven't come into play because of that thing there. That is the short rack. And
maybe once a match.
yeah. So if it's just one rack per match, it's sort of irrelevant.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of discussion over this new piece of equipment. It's still, obviously, it's conceptual. It's quite a new product, actually. It's only just been designed, and this one is the version 2, which has specially been developed for this event. Just explain a little bit more about exactly the concept of it, because you'll have used it. You guys will both have used it before, but we've got a new audience at home, and they may not have seen this before. They just see it as it's kind of fidgety and fiddly, and the ref has to take more time over doing it.
Okay, yeah. So the short rack is basically just a thin piece of plastic with that's been specially made with the exact holes in that the balls fit in. So they put them all together there. You literally just give them a little tap at the side and they all fall into place. So you're guaranteed every single rack to be in exactly the same place. So you can see the little line popping out at the bottom of the pack there. That line is drawn on to make sure that the referee puts the short rack in the right place in a straight line. So all 15 balls are guaranteed to be touching every single time, and the rack is guaranteed to be in the same place every single time. That's the first thing. The advantage of that is when you're playing in a match like this, obviously a huge match, the referee is racking the balls up. Now, if he's using a triangle, one time he might rack the balls up good and you break and the ball's open like that. The next time, he may leave a gap somewhere and the balls don't open. So obviously, the person who breaks when the balls don't open is obviously at a disadvantage. So then that becomes a little bit about the referee racking the balls up. Now, winning or losing a match shouldn't be about whether the referee can or can't rack the balls up. So that's the first advantage of it. The second advantage is what it's doing is the balls are obviously opening up the same for everybody. Well, not the same, but they're opening because they're all touching. Obviously, if you've got a good break, it helps. Now, it's no coincidence that the standard this event has been much higher than, well, I ever remember seeing in any of the event. Obviously, back in the day, it was very, very high. But of late, I watch a lot of the IPA, the EPA stuff, and this standard here this week has been far higher. And obviously, the rack is something to do with that because, I spoke about this with you, Nick, a few times in commentary. You never see a ball near a rail.
Yeah, I mean, look at this.
Yeah. Look at this. There's not a ball on a rail.
He would have had an easy out if he didn't play a bad first shot. But, I mean, like you say, the good thing is that how many times have we played on television or whatever back in the days and the referee gives you a bad rack?
Yeah.
And you hit them good, but they just don't move.
Yeah.
And then he racks them good for your opponent. Not on purpose, it's just the way it plans out.
Yeah.
So, in some ways, you can be at disadvantage because the referee's racking.
Yeah.
And it's happened. It's happened to me. It's happened for me and against me.
Yeah.
So it's good that everyone gets the same rack, fair rack, and then break the balls, and there's no complaints, is there?
Yeah, and then the argument, the other side to that is people say, the balls will land around the rack, and I've got a mess about taking the balls off, and the referee has to mark them. What when I'm playing down the local pub, we've got a mess about. Well, the only thing I'll say to that is, they reckon probably on average 7 or 8 times out of 10 it will be clear. Yeah. The other 2 or 3 it'll need marking, or at least one ball will need marking. Okay, now that is a very small price to pay if the referee has to mark the balls 2 or 3 times in every 10 frames. That is a very small price to pay for having all 15 balls touching every single time and the break being completely equal.
Yeah, and I think if you're playing in your local pub and what have you, you can agree between each other, just pick the ball up and then replace it, so you don't have to get the markers out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you're talking fractions, aren't you?
Yeah, for example, if me and you were playing a match out here now in this arena in a final, and there was no referee, and the black is where it's at now, right? Yeah, and the magic rack is there. Obviously, it doesn't matter if it's a mill either side; it still goes into each corner. Yeah. I would just say, yeah, no problem, mate. Just pick it up with your hand, move it a mill off the table, slide the rack out. Yeah. The black hasn't moved. That doesn't make any difference. I understand if there's a load of balls around it and it's like, does that go? Does that not? Of course, it needs marking. But otherwise,
Yeah, we do it all the time at American Pool. We just move it ourselves.
just
most of
move
the
it,
time.
yeah.
And to let the viewers at home know, they are available on the open market. They're not exclusive to this series. You can buy one from sharkrackpool.com, and also you can buy one through the Players Pool Events page. Lee Kendall has a selection that I'm sure he will sell you one of them. I think they're between £9 and £10, so they're more than affordable. You can try one out.
So you haven't? You're thinking about making a comeback, Gareth, or you're just itching to play, aren't you?
Yeah, well,
I can see that you're itching to play.
yeah. Well,
It is, but it has been a great tournament, to be fair.
yeah.
I was sceptical about coming back, but I'm sort of happy that I come back.
Yeah, and I did initially enter. Obviously, I had paid my money to enter. Then the schedule in China, I was supposed to be in China last week. It's been put back to next week, which obviously would have meant I'd missed this event. My schedule says that I'm going to miss another 2 of the events due to being in China, which would then have meant I'd missed the grand final, because that's 3 out of the 4 I'd missed. So as I knew I could only make one of the events, so I just had no option really, but other than to pull out. And then on top of that, I'm going to be starting some live streaming, which I have to do a set amount of hours that get streamed live back to China. So even if I could make 1 or even 2 of the events, I wouldn't even have any time to stick a bit of practice on the English table, because obviously my commitment's on the Chinese table. So having said all that, it just left me in a position where I had no choice but to not play, and it wasn't through a choice really. It was just that I had no option other to play. But having now been here, commentated and seen it all, I am itching, and I am gutted that I'm not in it, to be honest.
Yeah, because if you put some work in, you can do well. I sort of come here thinking, oh, can I do well? But after I played, I'm thinking, I was not far away, really. So obviously yourself will be thinking the same thing. And obviously Carl Morris did great, Jason did well, and who was the other one? Chris did pretty good.
Yeah.
And Carl Boys was going along pretty good for a stage. So, I mean, I just think because the game's wide open, so we're not massively relying on tactics so much.
Yeah, what I did say about that was I think it does just go to show about how good, people talk about like the golden era in English 8-ball, back in I remember back in the day at English 8-ball where when I first qualified for the men's England team when I was 18, the team that I qualified into was yourself, Mick Hill, Chris Mallin, Keith Brewer, Lee Kendall, Jason Twist, Carl Morris and Phil Harrison.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That was the team that I qualified into, which at that time, those players were the top 8 in the world rankings.
Yeah, it was an amazing team.
So people talk about that era of being, the golden era. And one thing I did say was, I think it just goes to show how good those players really, really were and are, because the likes of yourself that has just come back having not played for so long, and even Jason, Chris, he obviously flits between disciplines. Those players that haven't played for so long that have just come back, and other than the odd match, to me, have looked as good, if not better, than anybody.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, I definitely missed the boat. There's no doubt about that. I should have definitely got to the quarters. I should have won one of the matches I lost, and obviously, what's his name? Chris, that was in the mix. Jason got to the. Did he get to the quarters, Jason?
Yeah, Jason lost in the
Jason
quarters.
Jason got to the quarters, and I mean, I don't think we're far away. I just think just put a few more hours in and we're right in the mix. Because I wasn't sure how I was going to compete against the top boys, how I'm going to fare against them, but sort of come away with a lot of positives, really.
Yeah, and I think that just goes to show, people ask, that's a good shot there, he's just nudged that, so this yellow now goes. The 2 yellows that are close together on the bolt line, the outside one of those will pot as well, so these all now go. It's just a matter of putting the cue ball where he needs it. I think he'll leave the one next to the black until last.
Yeah, that come out perfect, that did.
So that has worked out well. But yeah, I was saying, I just think it goes to show how, good and talented those players were. And you hear people ask the question of how would the eras sort of compare, how would the players now compete in that era. And we had a chat about it before, and yes, the top players now are obviously very good, but we were saying about how the strength in depth back then was a lot higher, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Yeah, I mean, now I see a lot of good potters. But back then we had they all had great games and great recovery shots, and some all had different styles, but great in their own way. Like everyone brought something different to the table, really.
Yeah.
Like Jason Twist was like amazing under pressure, just one-dimensional, but he was so consistent with it.
And one of the best cueists you'll ever see on an English 8-ball table. That's why he's one of the best
pressure players, because his cue action was so good.
Yeah.
Then you had Carl Morris, who's like really clever. There's no real stroke or cue action, but just made it work. You know what I mean? He's clever. He plays to his strengths, like Brewer.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking about Carl when I was commentating on the Ronan game, and I was saying that usually you hear people talking about players and say, "Oh, he's an underachiever. You know, he should have done this. He should have done that. You know, I thought he'd have done this. Thought he'd done that." Carl Morris is one of the only players I can think of that I could say he's probably an overachiever for his ability.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at Carl Morris's CV, it's very, very good.
It's
you know, he's won 1 world title and should have won 2 had he have not played with the wrong side at 10 each. And he's won about 7 or 8 UK tours.
Yeah, and he won pro events as well.
He won loads of pro events, and
he's achieved a lot, and played for England a long time, and he had he was tough to beat because his tactics were so good.
And his antics were so good.
Yeah, when the old EPA rules, when me and Carl and Phil come along, like Carl was starting to get better and keep Brewer with the rules, the old EPA fudging rules.
Yes, he was very good. Yeah.
Where I had an open attacking style old EPA rules, and then they changed to world rules then. So.
Yeah, I think there was two types of tactical players at World Rules.
Yeah.
You had the first type, which were the players that were brought up on the old rules.
Yeah, like Greg
Farr and Brewer Kendall. You know, them sort of players were brought up playing the old rules, so their tactical side was very different to, for example, the likes of mine and yours that were really brought up playing in the.
Yeah,
we had a very open attacking.
Yeah, when the likes of me and Mick play safe, there was always a purpose to every shot.
Yeah.
Where with them guys, because they come from such a negative background, there was always looking for that negative approach.
Yeah.
Like at times, you know what I mean? Especially Brewer. Brewer, it's amazing. He won some of them games at World Rules. He's just the ultimate grinder, nicking frames. Ooh.
Oh, wow. Just as we were talking about that then, obviously, we've just gone off the pool for a little bit then.
He actually played a really poor shot to get on the block.
Yeah, he did leave the ball that we suggested until last, and like you say, he just played it probably, I think, with maybe a tracer left-hand side, so when the cue ball hit the rail, it just sort of squared up a little bit and left it, well, I'm saying missable, but he did miss it.
Yeah, well, misses.
Oh, what's happened here? Oh, my days.
Well, he sort of, I don't know if he just got lazy on that one, I think.
Oh, it's all going on here.
Maybe just took his eye off that one, thinking about the cue ball and thinking about his bad ball, what he's got to get to. Maybe just look. I mean, I can't imagine him ever missing that. That's a big let off for it, really.
Well, I mean, 2 of the easiest misses that you would have seen all weekend. You've just seen back to back there.
Yeah, and obviously there could be it can be easy to lose a bit of focus now because it's been a long weekend and fatigue might set in a little bit. Especially when you miss a few balls as well, it drains you a little bit more when you're feeling tired. You know what I mean? Where if you feel tired and you're playing well, and you sort of stay in the zone.
Yeah, the adrenaline sort of gets you through.
Yeah, and you feel good, so you don't feel tired. But when you start missing a few, then you start wearing yourself down mentally as well. And especially when you've been playing all day, and it's tough. It's like this tournament alone is a stamina test.
Yeah, and that's the trophy that they're playing for now.
Yeah, like the Champions League.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only trophy you'll see in Stoke this year.
They got the wooden spoon one, but
might be back in the Championship. You might win that next year.
That's Nick. There you can see the big guy right above the trophy.
He's commentated every match, right?
He's commentated every match. That's the guy that has been behind the microphone for every single one of the matches here. He's done a fantastic job. Obviously, I'd just like to say thanks to him. Obviously, he's put a lot of work in, and although it might seem easy, it isn't, because you are just sitting here. He's got an iPad in front of him. He's been bringing you all the updates, the scores of all the other matches, and he has done a fantastic job. Yeah,
and he's been updating all the viewers with the scores from the other table, where you don't really need to. You could just direct them to his Q score, but obviously it makes it, because people get a bit lazy. They don't want to go searching for stuff, so he's been on the ball. We updating the outside tables, which is great. You know what I mean? As a viewer, it's nice when someone's doing that. Because we play a lot of tournaments, you think, oh, War is a score on table 10 or 5 or 6, and you think, well, it's nice when someone's just updating it all the time, and he's very dedicated to it.
Yeah. And what is good is he does absolutely love pool.
Yeah,
he sort of lives for pool, and
it's great.
He watches everything, he knows everything about everything, and the way that talking to him and the way a few of the things he said, I can tell that he can play, because you know, he sees some of the shots. So he's the perfect person. Yeah,
you don't always need to be a great player to be a commentator or a pundit or anything, and you see that in all sports, but Scott, he does break them balls, but he's a bit lucky, really.
It's unbelievable. He had 2 reds that flew in the corner that were basically chasing each other in, and they sort of got blocked in the pocket. That's how quickly they followed each other in. You've then got 6 balls that are basically 6 inches away from the back cushion.
Well, Phil Harrison actually said to me, he says the thing with a shark rack is that you see more than 50% of the balls go to the top of the table. He says that's been the big difference, what he's noticed.
Yeah.
And obviously he plays all the time, so he knows better than us with this generation. But yeah, he's right. I've started taking notes that a lot more balls are going, they're more spread out, and there's more balls going to the top of the table. So obviously
there never seems to be one near a cushion.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
And one thing I will say with this short rack is, of course, it's new, and it's the first time it's been used in a tournament, certainly of any. Well, the short rack, this new development one is, the new technology of this one is new. One thing I will say with it is, everyone's now got one. Once players start obviously putting the hours in and practicing with it, they will work out formulas of what's happening. I noticed when they were developing this rack, I was with the guy that was making it, and he was asking my opinion on it, and I was going through it before, some tests with it, and he was racking the balls up, and I had about 20 or 25 breaks, and I worked out that you can get the 2 wing balls tracking towards the middle. You obviously have to, it's not just a case of hit it and they track, you have to hit the cue ball at a certain pace, at a certain trajectory, at a certain speed, and you can get them tracking. One thing that does happen that I've noticed is the 2 balls at the very bottom of the pack sometimes fly off the top cushion and kiss the 2 wing balls out of the way. And this was something which I spoke with Jason Shaw about the other day, and he'd worked out that was what's happening. So I'm sure you have as well, Darren. You've seen that, you work out patterns, of course. It's your job. You see what's going on, and you say, all right, that's going there. So, and what I mean by a different trajectory of the cue, so if the cue comes in steeper, that generally means it makes the wing balls go higher. If you flatten your cue off a little bit, so for example, if you were breaking off and they were just generally hitting the top knuckle every time, you could flatten your cue off and hit it with a more of a flatter strike without the loop at the back, which would then make them go a little bit narrower. And so you can manipulate where the balls go with how you strike the cue ball.
I mean, up to this match, what I played against Tom, I mean, I probably had 3 dry breaks the whole week. I was hitting them flat and hitting them hard and flat, and I was making balls everywhere. I mean, I was making that many balls most of the time. I couldn't keep track of them. But against what's his face, Tom, I just completely lost my timing, and then my confidence went then with a break. So I just sort of all over the place with it. But I mean, I think you're right. I think if you get the hit right, there's balls what's guaranteed.
Yeah, and when people obviously, this tournament is only going to get bigger, and when we get to the grand final, I think that the Calcutta is going to be way over 100,000, because especially in the UK, the Calcutta is a new concept. People don't really understand the way it works, especially not in the English 8-ball. I know that they use it a lot in America, and I know they use it a lot in Australia, but over here they didn't really understand the concept of it. They didn't really get exactly how it worked, and hence why the first day people were going cheap, because people didn't know exactly what was going on. For the next event, and for certainly for the grand final, it's definitely going to increase. You can have a situation where you're playing in the grand final. If you buy yourself in the Calcutta and the pot say 100 grand, you're playing for over £85,000.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I
was saying it's quite funny actually. Because I just started playing English pool again about 2 months ago, so I played like for a week, let's say. And I was thinking and I played a tournament, like a local tournament. I'm thinking, why you don't do Calcuttas over here? So I put a post on Facebook, And then the next day, Kendall's announced he's doing a Calcutta. So obviously he'd already planned it. So it was quite funny post.
That kind of how it came, yeah.
Yeah, just like a coincidence. And I've been thinking, like, why don't do it in this country? Obviously now Kendall's set the trend. Lee and his team set the trend, and it can make a huge difference this game. Because it's like what I said earlier. I says it's difficult for Poole to get the fans to it's difficult to take fans to a pool tournament.
Yeah.
So you have to take Poole to the fans where they already are. So this is a perfect venue. But in the long term, because of the betting and the Calcutta, I think people if it's in the hotel, people will probably still come and watch.
Yeah, because obviously
there's an interest for
they've
them
got a
besides,
financial interest. Yeah,
for sure. And I think that's the only way it can work. Where obviously big sports, people go because they love it and blah blah. But I think pool is generally a gambling sport anyway. So
yeah,
and I don't think there's anything wrong with that gambling concept, as long as it's done the right way.
No, and it just goes to show that what you're saying is exactly right. Because look how popular the money match scene is. That's gambling. It's a gamble, and look at it now. I mean, the UK, the English 8-ball pool money match scene has just gone absolutely crazy.
That was another temptation to start playing again also.
You know, I mean, they're playing money matches every single week. There's one happening somewhere every single week for 5 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand, 40 grand. It's just
unbelievable. I mean, when I was playing, it was like if I played for 5, 10 grand. You get me coffee, Lee? Yeah, 2 sugars.
So yeah,
I mean, back in my day, it was like 10,000 was a massive money match.
Yeah. Now, just 2 local players are playing down their local pub for that every week.
Josh Turney, the real #1, is playing that for every week.
Yeah, and people like Max Nosko, you know, he's playing. He plays for more than that sort of week in, week out. And talk of the devil.
What a character! I've actually first met him this week, and he's quite funny.
Yeah, and he is very different to how he comes across online.
And he's got a good sense of humour.
It's just a persona thing, though, isn't it? He's trying to build up that character and try and get himself some money matches.
He's a clever guy. Don't worry about
He's got himself talking. You know, he's got people talking about him.
He's smart.
Yeah.
It's funny. I mean, I enjoy characters like him. People, the world needs people like him.
So has Liam come far enough? I think he just has. Just short, perhaps.
If he hasn't got 2 shots, I'm pretty sure he's come short here.
Yeah, I think maybe he can just turn it over.
I think I may have just heard the ref. Yeah, I thought I heard the ref say foul two visits. So he had a couple. So Liam now with a great chance to take the lead for the first time.
Yeah, this shot's all about speed control. Shorter's better than longer.
Yeah.
If he's feeling good, he'll get this perfect. Yeah. Probably.
He has played those shots really well. He did the same in the semi-final. Anytime he
probably a little bit too short. He should make it, but he's made an awkward queuing.
Yeah.
And he has missed a couple. What I didn't expect him to miss. So he needs to bear down on this.
But when he's playing to an area, he's kind of finding.
Yeah, he keeps the game simple. He's not going to run out of position very much. He's only really 1 bad positional shot so far, and but he actually got away with it. He missed the 8-ball, but Scott then missed an easy red back. So this needs to be. You need to focus on this one. There you go.
Oh, wow.
I had a feeling there.
Yeah.
Just because he missed that black Gareth earlier. Just something. I think maybe he's a confidence player, or maybe I don't know. Just gets out of rhythm a little bit. Then he can sort of.
He queued right across that one.
He's been a bit fortunate as well. I mean, he's going to be in trouble in a minute.
Been very fortunate.
Yeah, been a bit fortunate leaving that Chinese.
I don't think he's got that easy save, to be honest.
I think he can just the two yellows that are together in bulk. I think he can just hit that full ball.
Yeah. What I'm saying, it's not guaranteed though, is it? If it rolls off, just gets a slight turn on the cue ball, this could go wrong. And he's played it well. Very well.
Well, he's blocked the side rail off.
Yeah, I mean
that was the danger.
I mean, he couldn't have placed that bet with his hand really.
I mean,
he didn't expect that. That's a bonus size.
It is, because I'd even not blocked that side rail off. I think he could have gone just after the middle and chipped the black very close to the pocket and got the cue ball over to the right-hand side of the table.
Yeah. Is he going to play this controller, or is he going to have a...
Well, yeah, I don't think there's no choice. He's got to whack it.
Yeah, he's going to whack it.
He's got to swerve it for a start.
Yeah.
This is just hit or no. You've no control over that when you've got to spin the cue ball like that. It's just hit the ball or no. And it's not too terrible, really.
Again, he's been lucky again, hasn't he? Pushing that yellow, just tying the 2 up.
What you say?
So again,
Yeah,
Scott
might play safe again here.
Yeah, well, I think he has to, and he's just going to develop this one yellow off the rail.
Yeah, that's okay.
And middle bag in the way of the one cushion.
Well,
escape.
if he goes before the middle, he'd have to really put loads of extreme right-hand side on it, and it's sort of like a little masse shot, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because he's got to really get that cue ball to go wide on with a lot of right spin. I think that looks tough to do that, but I think that's his only real shot, is to do that. He's looking at I think he's looking at two cushions here. He's playing this 2 cushions. Oh, this is really tough. I mean, that for me was virtually impossible, that angle. Again, it's not terrible.
No, it's not. Even with 2 visits, he's not left an easy opener, is he?
No, I think he'll have to play the one on the left-hand side, just because if he does make it, then he'll win the game. If he doesn't make it, he can play another safety. Or he's bringing these 2 up. Well, that's okay as well, because he's bringing his bad balls into play.
That's probably a little bit of...
yeah, this is better, actually.
It's that black ball experience, isn't it? He's essentially using that as his free shot.
Yeah, he's probably
just to develop the balls.
Yeah, and that helps with the black ball mentality. You think, well, yeah, I don't need to carry my 2 shots. I'll just bring the bad ball into play, and then the game's there.
Yeah, controlled that well as well. Just
a
forced
lot
it
of
down.
a lot of World Rules players there would have wanted to keep their 2 shots.
Yeah.
Just because that's their mentality.
That's right. Yeah. We mentioned the same thing earlier. But you can't bank those 2 shots. Get into the black with 2 shots adds no benefit whatsoever.
Yeah,
so.
and at this level, I mean, if he can't make these with 1 shot, I'd be very, very disappointed.
Yeah.
So it's quite a big frame, really, because Scott will feel a bit aggrieved that this match is 2-2, to be honest. So he wants to make sure he punishes Liam's mistakes. And he hasn't really done that yet, so he needs to make sure he punishes this one. There's nothing worse when your opponent makes a really bad mistake and he ends up winning the frame still. And it sort of lets them off the hook a little bit, so they don't feel as bad about the miss.
Yep. So this is when he just needs to cue well.
And I said that before about that, Daz, is what happens is when you make a mistake in a frame, for example, you miss the black, you snook yourself on the black, psychologically you've mentally accepted that. So for example, here the score's 2-2. When Liam missed the black, he'd be now thinking, right, I'm 3-2 down.
Yeah.
Scott is thinking, right, I've seen him miss the black. Psychologically, you're thinking, and subconsciously you think, right, I'm 3-2 ahead. If for any reason you make a big mistake and that wasn't to happen, it's such a big blow because you've almost give yourself the frame already.
Yeah, and then it's like reverse psychology then. It's just, but this is a mental game, it's mind games. I think pull, in my opinion, is mentally the toughest sport in the world. Because sometimes you've no control of what's happening. I mean, most of the time you do. If you play well, you think 9 times out of 10 you have a great chance of winning. But I mean, a lot of things can happen on a pool table. What can't happen in other sports, in my opinion, because sometimes the gods are just not with you. It's like on about the master in the break. Yeah, you can figure out how to make balls in the break, but you've no control of what's going to happen with the cue ball afterwards, even if you hit it perfect. You know what I mean? Where if you're playing golf and you hit a perfect drive, and I mean, something crazy's got to happen for it to not stay on the fairway. But pull, how many times do we see it where that cue ball gets kicked, and you're thinking, why? I mean, it's nice when your opponent does it against you, but when it happens in such a big situation, it's like close match. I mean, it's really a killer. But if you keep eating it good, then you'll get the rewards in the long run.
Yeah, and one of the factors which there is definitely something more that's involved in pool is luck than other sports.
Unbelievable. No two racks are the same, and a lot of things can happen.
And
it's the only. I think it's got to be one of them, because there's so many people that can win anyway. There's so many great players, but also I think it's one of them where you can play. It's a sport where you can play your best, and you're not guaranteed to win.
Yeah, and one thing that you have to remember as well about pool is, it's one of those sports where you manipulate and you control what your opponent does.
Yeah.
So, and snooker's obviously the same, and all cue sports is the same. For example, golf isn't the same. You just have your ball, your clubs, and you play your ball, I play my ball, and I don't influence anything you do.
Yeah,
Darts
exactly.
is exactly the same. You have your 3 darts, I have my 3 darts. It's not like I throw my 3 darts and get him around the treble 20 and say, right, try and get it in there if you can. Like at pool, you put a ball over the pocket and say, well, you ain't going to put one in there. So you're controlling what your opponent can and can't do.
Yeah, and then it's like golf. I mean, if someone plays a great shot, at least you have your opportunity to play a great shot. Where in pool, sometimes you just don't get the opportunity.
Yeah, and even though these balls here look clustered around the left-hand side of the table, they won't be clustered in a minute, because he's going to go reds, and he's going to pot the one in the middle, and he's going to screw the bad red out of the way, and providing it doesn't go somewhere where he can't pot it, he's going to win the frame.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he plays this. Yeah, he played with follow. I thought he would. I thought he'd play with follow just to get the cue ball through as well. And it's, I think with this cue ball, I think with the old cue ball, he might have done what you said, like draw it. But it seems to run through the balls nicely. This cue ball, and he's pretty good here. Probably because I think the red goes in the opposite middle pocket, so he might just come across table here. And it'd be a nice angle actually. If he leaves a nice angle for that red in the left-hand side pocket as well, that'd be perfect. So you really just focus on making the ball here. You don't have to do anything with the cue ball. Just make sure you make it. There you go.
So recognising that people are joining us throughout the evening, if you're not sure what you're watching, you are witnessing the final of the Supreme Pool Series Event 1, the Jason Owen Open. We are at the Players Pool and Snooker Lounge in Newcastle under Lyme. It's a mouthful. And yeah, as I say, this is Event 1. It's played to world rules. It's a race to 11. And the winner will get the not insubstantial sum of £5,000, along with any money they may have invested in the Kolkata. So there's quite a big swing. I think the second prize is, am I right in saying, 3,000? So it's
a
pretty big swing between first and second.
For those who don't know what the Calcutta is, it's well, it's quite sort of lengthy to explain. We have gone through it, but the winning bidder of these players will receive around £22,000. The player does have the option to buy himself within 24 hours for 50%. So if either of these guys have bought themselves, which I'm not sure if they have.
I know Scott didn't. I don't know about William.
So if they have bought themselves, then they're going to be on for an additional 11,000 on top of the 5 if they do win.
Yeah, and I think these two guys went quite cheap, like 650 and maybe 800. Considering some of the players what went for like 4,000 or 5,000. I mean, these two at 600 were a steal. I mean, if I'll have known more about these two guys' games, I'll have been tempted to throw something in the hat.
I also know that people will be tuning in who don't actually know the backgrounds of these two players. I'll give you a quick update from their profiles. It's Liam Dunster. He's 24 years old, nicknamed the Duster. He uses a Tom Classic cue with an 8mm tip. He's got quite a portfolio of wins behind him. Under 23 world champion in 2012, and European under 23 in 2015. More recently, the men's world champion in 2016 and the European men's champion in 2017.
What's world championship in what? Which discipline?
In 8 ball, but I'm not sure.
I mean 8 ball, but which association?
I'd have to think about that.
Because it can't be IPA or world rule.
No, it was. I think it was the EPF, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's that one. Yeah.
What is it?
It's the one that they hold. It's played to black ball rules, isn't it? It's the one that gets held at the.
In Killarney.
Yes, in
Killarney
Killarney.
Eagles.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that shows his pedigree there, but it's hard to keep track with all these world championships what's going on.
And that's exactly what I was saying before. You know, if you win a UK tour now, or have you won a UK tour? If you win a World Championships, have you won it? Because there's 3 different ones where what this event has done is it's brought all of the best players together, not only for the best prize fund, but it's brought them together for the most prestigious event.
Yeah.
So if you win this event now, at this moment in time, you are one of, if not the best player at the minute.
Yeah, I think whoever finishes number 1 at the end of the season on this series, for me, is the best player in the world
Is the
right
best
now.
player in the world right now. They have to be.
Because 5 events is not going to lie. With this sort of races, playing good races, and there's no excuses really. Over 5 tournaments at this level. I mean, you're going to get your fair chance.
And
your chances. So.
Liam's opponent is Scott Gillespie. His nickname is Goobsy. He's 32 years old. He's a Craftsman Q with an Elkmaster.
That's amazing. I was telling you that earlier.
Like,
Craftsman's based in Kippix in Castleford.
Yeah.
It's pretty close to me.
Yeah. It's a 9.2 mil tip that he's got on it. His achievements: World Under-21 champion, European Under-21 runner-up. He won the Jersey Open, winner of the Nations Cup singles, Scottish national champion, multiple Scottish ranking events, and also he's won events on the IPA tour as well.
And just as Nick was saying that,
It's like ripped one.
Scott has just absolutely flushed one again.
And if you notice, the 2 balls down, the first 2 balls down in the rack, they were both tracking to the middle, but they got kicked away. But 2 other balls went in the side pocket.
Yeah.
Like the third balls down.
I wasn't watching. Did they get kicked in by the balls coming off the top cushion?
They might have done, yeah. Because like the 2 balls were tracking, then they sort of got kicked away, but the other balls went in. I mean, he deserved whatever he got. I mean,
but again, there's 1 ball on the rail that.
Yeah, but the good thing with that one down the rail, he isn't going to do anything with a cue ball if he gets good position on it.
Yeah, I was just sort of referring to the fact that with this new short rack, they just don't go on the rail.
Yeah. Yeah. To be fair, I mean, I haven't played a load of rail shots this week. And
back in the day of you,
every game,
being, when you were at your best at English 8 ball, that was one of your best attributes down the rail, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I think the tables are a little bit easier. The pockets are a little bit easier than what they used to be. I think because the cloths are so much finer now.
That's what it is. We're playing with the Strachan number 10 here, or the tournament sponsors, and the Strachan number 10 here is arguably one of the best cloths in the world. Arguably the best cloth in the world. It's certainly, probably the most expensive. It is the best quality. So it is shaved so fine. It does play really quick and really responsive, which does make it slip in off the knuckles a little bit easier.
Yeah, we've also seen it with this year with the World Snooker Championships. They're definitely playing more generous down the rail than what they've ever done, I think.
Yeah, and the cloth that you're seeing here is what they use, what they're playing on now in the World Snooker Final. It's exactly the same. He got a bad contact there to stop the cue ball dead.
Yeah, and to a lot of viewers, they're just thinking that the pockets are just bigger, but they're not actually. They're the same cut as what they've always been, whether it's snooker or English pool. It's just the cloth and the cushions just
and the
might
conditions
just slide a little
make
more
it different. Yeah, they use the same template. Yeah,
I mean, this table I think this table probably playing a little bit tougher right now than it was, let's say, 3 or 4 hours ago, because obviously the temperature rises and the conditions can change the way the table plays also.
And obviously the cloth wears a little bit. You know, there's been a lot of play on this table over the last 3 days.
Yeah, the table's played beautiful. I'd
That
probably
was
say
one of the first kicks we've seen
I'll
on
tell
this
you
table
what-
over the weekend.
I'll tell you what I've only just noticed, what I probably should have done before, is that I can't believe we ever played on an 8-foot table on TV. Because this looks a lot better to me, and plus the standard's a lot better.
Yeah, that's the
I mean,
main point,
if
isn't
you
it?
take away yourself and the likes of Mick and Chris and that, I mean, the standard was pretty poor when we played on an 8-foot table on the World Championships.
Yeah, and that's the reason, because no one was used to
Yeah,
it,
we
were
were all
they?
going in like, and it was a big. In my opinion, it was a big disadvantage to people like myself and maybe Phil, because more tacticians and more cue ball players. Where obviously yourself, Mick, and Chris are just obviously you can do them things well, but you're all great potters.
Yeah.
So it's just finished on an awkward line here.
But to me, it looks great with 7 foot on the TV. You know what I mean? I think, and this is how pull should be, because that's what it is.
Yeah, and he has just come a little bit far on the red that's in towards the middle of the table. He wanted to take that one and leave the one over the middle, so now he's changing his route because of that. And he doesn't want to be straight, and he doesn't want to be bridging over the yellow.
Well, to me, guys, I don't understand the shot he's played. I'll have just spun that ball in and come, just left it near the cushion and then just potted it and come back up.
Yeah.
Around on the same side.
Yeah,
on the
potted
right
it into
side,
the left
yeah.
corner, yeah.
I thought he was going to do the same
I'm very
thing.
surprised he's done this. He should be okay, but he's made this. This can go wrong.
Was the
could
cue
go
ball?
wrong.
Oh, goodness me, that really
That's what
is.
happens when you play the wrong shot.
Yeah.
Because that was never the shot where he played there.
Yeah.
That's
no.
okay if he gets really across, but he was asking for a bit of trouble there.
Yeah.
And the middle pockets don't move, you know what I mean? So even though he's thinking, oh, I've been a bit unlucky there, he shouldn't be nowhere near the side pocket. So you think, yeah, I've been a bit unlucky to going off, but he shouldn't have been anywhere near it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's only he's only himself to blame there. And that's a big game as well, because he sort of got Liam on the ropes a little bit here, and Liam's going to take the lead. I feel like Scott's played all the pull here, and he's going to go 4-3 down, and this is what you have to punish these guys. I mean,
It's effectively what happened in the last game, isn't it? I mean, Tom just played loads of pool, and Liam just really did look on the ropes, and he just quietly got himself back into the game, took advantage of the mistakes.
I think it's more of a case. I don't think Liam made this bad mistakes as what he did in this match. I think he's missed 2 glaring misses, and to be leading 4-3, he's going to be delighted.
And I think Scott has probably made more mistakes in these 6 frames than he's probably made in his last 2 matches.
Yeah, and like you said, you go back to before. They're both from Scotland, and we don't really know the history between the two of them. I mean, maybe Liam has a great record over Scott. You know what I mean? So that could be a mental edge.
There could, yeah, could be some psychological edge
I mean,
there.
you wouldn't believe some of the players. I mean, like some of the records. I mean, like Chris Mellon could never beat Mick Hill. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. Chris Mellon couldn't beat Carl Boys. Mick Hill couldn't beat Carl Boys. You know what I mean? Mick Hill couldn't beat Carl Boys.
I know.
It was like unbelievable at 8-ball.
And again, to underline that point, I was talking to Jordan Shepherd the other day. He beat Gareth Hibbert yesterday. That's the first time in 20 meetings that he's beaten him. He's never beaten him before. Played each other 20 times.
Tom Cousins never beats Phil Harrison.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And it is, and that's what I said at the start of this match. Of these players will be familiar with each other, and like Darren says, who knows the history of when of how these have fared against each other in tournaments? Who knows the history of these guys are practicing together? You know, maybe Liam sort of gives him a bit of a booting in practice, and that's a psychological sort of advantage.
But on the evidence, what we've seen, I don't think that's the case. I think it's more a case, maybe they're showing too much respect for each other. You know what I mean?
I think
that can happen also. I mean,
th
I've played you, I've played Mick, I've played Chris, and sometimes you show too much respect for each other, and it can take a while to settle down.
Yeah, and I think, maybe the point you made at the start of this is probably more correct. Of it's been a long day, a little bit tired, a little bit fatigued, and like you say, when you feel like you're struggling, you feel a little bit more tired, and it seems to get worse when you're playing well and you're sort of going from the you're getting by from the adrenaline, aren't you? Yeah,
and to be fair, I think for these two, they're big matches. Well, they're semi-finals. I think once you get to the final, it's easy to relax and think, oh, my work's done, but it's not done. But the work to get to the final's done. You know what I mean? So then you think, right, just one more match, and I can enjoy it.
Yeah.
But if you lose that little bit of intensity and that energy, then it's very easy to play flat, which is sad, really, if that happens in such a big final. But fatigue can play a big part.
Yeah, this is a strange one. He breaks, obviously, with his hand on the table, and what that does limit is how far you can take the cue back. And in turn, what that limits then is how much power you can generate.
Yeah. And the problem with that, Gareth, in my opinion, is that the baulk line's too close to the cushion to do that.
Oh, this is exactly the point I made to you, Nick, in the last match. So the baulk line is at 20%.
Yeah.
So it's 5% further back than in the middle of the cushion.
Yeah.
So that's even less of a reason to break with your hand on the table, because it's just so hunched up and you can't pull the cue back far enough. You feel like you're not finishing the backswing, and even when he hit that, his cue's flying up in the air, which is losing loads of power basically up towards the ceiling. And yeah, for me, I don't like that break with your hand on the table.
Just to make a point as well, I was just looking really carefully at that cue ball. It looked precariously close to that baulk line. Of course, the cue ball can't be touching the baulk line, otherwise it's a foul.
It's got to be 50% on it.
So it's got to be
50%.
It's actually got to be behind the line, I think, isn't it?
No, it's 50%. Half of the ball's got to be on the line. But also, the only other top player I've seen break off their hand like that is Jason Twist, and he did it pretty well, but still wasn't as consistent because it's just hard to get. Like Gareth says, but he never had a big power break. He had a controlled break, and he played it well, but it might work with one like Jason Twist, because he did break good with the hand bridge, but I never liked the look of it.
He used to break on the hand bridge, but he had a lot of success of that on the 8-foot table.
When
you could get your hand close to the lines further down. So 25%, the lines further down.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, where thingy, what's his in Chinese 8-ball? You have a Yubo who does it, and he does it amazing. It's amazing the power he generates with that hand brake.
Yeah, basically.
You won't think it'd be possible to get that much power with the hand bridge.
Yeah, basically what happens is the butt of the cue on the top of the backswing ends up almost vertical.
Yeah.
Vertical to the ceiling.
Yeah, I think Liam, if I was his coach or a mentor or something, I'd be really telling him that you need to work on your brake, a different style of brake, not necessarily work on his brake. He might have a great brake if he brakes with his cue on the back rail, but. That's a big advice I'd give him, because it looks like the rest of his game's there.
I must admit, I haven't really studied his brake before, but I do wonder if that is his usual brake, or it's just something he's trying to adapt with this shark rack. Because I don't know if you, Jason Shaw spoke to us outside earlier after his game, and he said that he was using exactly that brake, and he was getting balls every time, whereas Jason had broken 7 times dry. So I wonder if it's something he's adapting.
He can still brake from the position where he wants to put the cue ball. He just doesn't have to put his hand on the table.
Yeah.
But what would be the reason for putting your hand on the table? I mean, is it? I asked earlier. Is he just trying to get lower on the cue ball, or is there no real reason for it?
I think he probably feels like he can maybe get a bit more control. That's the only thing I can think, because for me there'll be no other explanation.
The cue probably is not coming down from such a steep angle. It's just slightly flatter, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that's the only reason it can make.
Well, it's more of a jabby stroke, isn't it?
Because obviously,
So it's hard for him to lose the cue ball. Where if you're bringing the cue ball all the way back, you're bringing it back a good 2 or 3 feet at times.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to really power the brake and lunge into the brake, then you're coming back a long way. Where he's keeping it compact, so he's got more control. But I think it's easy for the cue to slip out of your bridge hand.
Yeah.
But. It has done him good so far this week. He is in the final.
Yeah, you can't criticise him too much.
You can't criticise too much because it's got him here, and it has got him 4-3 up.
But yeah, I mean, he's got here into the final with this style of braking. But I think he's got potential to break even better. You know what I mean? So if I was his coach, anyway. But obviously it's worked so far. But in this match, obviously, he's not really worked. I don't think. But he's been let off the hook, hasn't he? And he might get let off the hook again here, because that's not great.
Yeah, I can think he played a run inside just to bump into the yellow, and he's left himself a bit smelly on it.
Because these can be missed, because these pockets can be funny. If you don't hit it in the middle, like, you're that good. Because sometimes you can hit that ball good and it'll spit out.
Yeah.
But you got to hit it right in the heart, haven't you?
I did have a chat with him after his semi-final win. His quarter-final win that we commentated on, and I said that you were impressed with his game, and he said he kind of thought you would be, because he's almost modelled himself a little bit on you. He plays in a similar way. He punches balls into the pocket, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think back in the day that was probably my style. I'm more of a punchy player. I'm not a big loader side player. You know what I mean? I don't think Scott is. And yeah, I like his game. I just like his demeanour and his confidence, and his off the table is very humble, and he's a very likeable person anyway. So it's difficult to not root for him, really.
And he's one of those players that looks like he's got belief. You know, when he's out there, no matter who he's playing against, you can see that he's sitting out there going, I fancy the job.
Yeah, you can tell, can't you, by body language and demeanour and everything.
I know that people are joining us from all around the world, and it'd be interesting to hear where you do come from. Somebody just asked on here, the commentators ex-players? They're not only ex-players, they're current players. Between them, we've got 8 world titles. Between these two guys, it's
8 world championships and probably about 20 world titles between us.
Yeah, Gaz Potts.
About 10 different disciplines.
Yeah, and
and I'll tell you what is weird though is that we play 3 different sports where the games are just completely different. Well, 4 different disciplines really, pool and snooker, let's say. I mean, they're completely different, all 4 of them.
Yeah.
Different art, different physics, different patterns, completely different games.
Yeah.
That's the real interesting thing for me. So to be able to do well at different disciplines like myself and Gareth, I think it's a great achievement. You know what I mean? Chris Melling. I think it's really very rare that someone's going to do that. So to adjust from one game to another and then come back and do it again, or Chinese 8-ball, I mean, it's pretty amazing really what the English guys have achieved.
That is an absolute monster of a break, and it's almost just a touch unfortunate those 2 balls came together just at the left-hand side of your screen there.
Yeah,
but,
I like his break.
I do, and to be honest, the way he's hitting the break,
Yeah,
I find it hard to see how he's ever going to not pot one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of the way I'm watching his break. I'm sort of thinking about using a normal cue for breaking.
yeah, you've been using your
Well, it's good for
Predator,
power.
haven't
It's
you?
good for power.
Is it the Revo
Yeah,
shaft?
the Revo.
Yeah,
But when I'm hitting them good, it's great. But if you're not hitting them good, it's sort of all over the place. Where I think with this, he can sort of get that little hit and timing. He can get more control, I think, and get the consistent hit all the time. Because he's consistently hitting at the same power all the time, and he's getting the cue ball more or less perfect.
Yeah, I find it fascinating that a player of your experience, Darren, you sat here watching the game, and
You're always learning.
And you're always learning. You're just picking up tips
To
and
me,
saying, "I can learn from this guy."
To be successful in any sport, you've got to be a student of the game. You've got to be open for criticism. You've got to look for ways to improve and pick up what other players are doing. I mean, it can be something simple. It might not even be a professional. You might pick something off an amateur, and you just got to put it all to pieces. And that's how you learn the game. And these days, people are very lucky because of social media. It's very easy to get access now to videos. Where when we were playing, when we were younger, we had to play against each other to get that, or watch a Brewer or a Kendall in a match to learn. You know what I mean?
So people watching from Canada, from New York City, from all the way down in Devon.
That was a bad miss.
And yeah, just as you were talking about that, and we were talking about how good the break was, he nominates yellows, which he's not on until he pots one, and then misses one over the pocket.
Yeah.
And the reason he missed it over the pocket is because he was trying to get the cue ball out, but ultimately you've got to make sure you pot the ball first. You can't generate an angle that's not there.
Yeah, he's like one step forward, one step back for the moment for Scott. Because to me, he's completely dominated this match, hasn't he, really? What I've seen, and he's just running away with it.
And that's a terrible shot from Liam also, because he's cannoned onto that, and now he can only pot the one over the pocket, and he wanted to leave that there before he played the cannon. As we said before, when you're playing the cannon, and he will play the cannon off the yellow to the left, the top left, he'll stun across and try and flick his bad ball out. As we said before, you want to leave as many options as possible, and he would definitely have wanted to leave this one over the pocket when playing that cannon.
Yeah, that was his banker.
Someone asked a question here, and I'll let Gareth field this one because I know it's one of his favourite subjects. Can someone tell me what the purpose is of having the cue ball smaller than the object ball?
Yeah, well, there isn't a purpose of it. The reason why it is smaller is because back in the day, when English 8-ball sort of originated into pubs,
And it cost 10 pence a frame.
Yeah, you had to obviously put your money in the table, and if you potted the cue ball, they had a mechanism inside the table, the setup inside the table allowed the cue ball to run along a different track that would come out the other end. That would obviously save people from having to put their money in to get the cue ball back out. So there was basically just a different chute inside the table that the cue ball would run out to. And there's no other reason why the cue ball is now still smaller other than it's always just been smaller and nobody's ever changed it. Now the tables we play on here and in every club that you play in the country, or most of the clubs, they were what they call a domestic table, so all the balls come out one end. So there's no reason at all why the cue ball couldn't be and should be, in my opinion, the same size as the object balls.
Yeah, and I've said for a long time that if I was in charge of the game, I would have got Aramith to make the cue ball the same size as the object ball for professional tournaments only. Because at amateur level, it's not so much of an issue. Yeah. That's what they're happy with. It's in the pubs. We understand they've got to put money in the table, but for professionals, we don't do that. And I think it'd be a hell of a lot better if professionals were playing with the same size ball. And there's nothing stopping it, really. I mean, it's easy for Aramith to make the cue ball exactly the same size as the object ball, and they'd do it.
What a miss that was.
Wow.
What happened there? Just took his eye off.
Yeah, I think he was watching. He was playing it with the right hand side to get the cannon on the red. And what happens when you play with right hand side is it pushes to the left hand side first, and that's exactly what that did. So he played it with right hand side. The cue ball pushes to the left before it swerves back to the right. He didn't obviously allow accordingly, and he's hit it too fat.
And the problem comes back again there is that he's worried about will he have a shot after he brings it out, where if he had that yellow over this pocket, he'll have been guaranteed a shot. Yeah. So he would never have missed that ball. If that yellow stayed over his bottom right, where it should have done, he wouldn't have missed that ball.
Yeah, because he was concentrating too much on, being precise on the cannon on the red, because he didn't have any other option other than the yellow that he's cannoning.
And that's the problem when you have no insurance ball. Well, now it's a big shot. He's been playing these good all week. I think he's very surprised with some of the balls. I mean, he's been making a lot of high percentage of them type of shots this week.
Yeah.
And at the minute, his body language is just a little bit sort of.
Yeah, I think both of them, to be fair.
Showing.
This could be like the 1985 snooker final. Could be a long one. Gaz likes a long one.
Didn't want the kiss, but he's fine. And this yellow does pass. The one closest to the realm nearest to us does pass below the red into the pocket. So.
Yeah, and the yellow that the cue ball's closest to, now that he's bumped the red, does pass into both middles also.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see if he plays this one cushion or two cushions for the yellow in the past the black.
I'd play this two cushions.
Yeah. Because you can
a better angle, and you feel like you can hit the shot.
Yeah, and he didn't though, and it's weak, very weak.
Yeah, should have played two rails there.
But he's going to have to take this in the top now, I guess. Which he's looking at the side pocket, so this can go wrong. It could get a skid, kick. Because you can get a ball what turns over and a ball what can kick. Sometimes it jumps, sometimes it just spins over. So it's we call that skid. I think the English just use it a kick all the time, but I think a kick's different to a skid. But I mean, if he was confident, he'd probably take this in the top. This pretty made it look easy.
So both players have had a bite of the cherry in this one. Scott broke really well, but failed to take advantage. It's the game that's going to go a frame ahead.
Well, you got to give him his dues. He's looks like he's a really good grinder as well. Because I mean, obviously he's going to be thinking, well, I played terrible here and I'm leading 5-4. So I think he did have a match like that earlier. Was it today or maybe last night? He had a real late night finish and he just grinded over the line. I think we was all waiting for him to finish. It was like 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, he was playing Greg Batten yesterday evening.
I think he just grinded it out 11-9. So that's good. I mean, that's more important than playing great sometimes.
Yeah.
Because they're the matches what you got to win. Because you can't play good all the time.
I think he was like 10-5 or 10-6 up in that, and Greg just kept coming back at him.
No, that's the difference between being a consistent player and What I mean, like a inconsistent player. I mean, we see a lot of great out-and-out shooters, and they might show up for 1 or 2 times a year, but then the rest of the year they sort of go missing because they can't grind out them victories. So looks like this guy's good at grinding as well. It's very easy to lose your patience when you're struggling, and I think you start playing the wrong shots because you just want to try and get something happening. You know what I mean? And we know a lot of players with that style where that even though they're playing bad, they'll try and force something to happen, and then but sometimes you just got to hold back and just say, look, just play to your strengths and just keep the game. Don't take any stupid risks. So it's important that your B game is got to be solid. You know what I mean?
I don't know if you noticed at the bottom of the screen there a second ago the link to Q Score. There are obviously no other live scores at the moment, or again today, just the game you see playing out in front of you. But if you want to see how these players have progressed through, you can just see the whole draw. All 128 players that entered. The whole draw is played out. All you need to do is go to qscore.com. The link's down at the bottom of the page there. It's you can just Google Q Score and the Jason Owen Open, and it'll take you to the right page. You can see how this tournament has played out over the last 3 days. But we're here concentrating on the final.
Once again, he broke with his hand on the table, and exactly the same as before, he did stun the cue ball back dangerously close to this corner pocket. He did make one first, but the cue ball does keep ending up around this corner.
Yeah, the top rail. So he's making the first shot tough all the time.
Yeah, and this is tough because
yeah, because
it has
the
a
way
tricky
they played,
first shot.
really. I mean, if he was playing great and confident, it'd be just straight down by now, I think. It'd probably be, what's he doing?
Yeah, so he's gone reds and he's just clipping this red into the middle. It's a good shot.
Yeah.
That's worked out nice.
Nice.
I'm not sure if the red that's at the top of your screen there, the one that's closest to the middle pocket at the top, one that's on the rail, I'm not sure if that passes the other red up the rail. I don't think it does. There you can see, no, I don't think it does. But on an English 8-ball table, if you get good on that, it is like sort of an unmissable double, or certainly a double that you would be devastated if you missed it. If you get the cue ball in a good area, obviously he has to take the red away from the left middle first, but depending on, he would like to play the one he's closest to now, stun the cue ball up through the gap of the black and the yellow, up to where that chalk mark is, then pot the one over the corner and just nudge the other one over the middle. That's what he's played. Hasn't quite hit it hard enough. So I think he'll pot the one over the pocket now, play a slow little screw shot up the rail and just try to bump that red that's on the cushion just over a couple of inches.
Yeah, he would have liked to touch more angle, but he might have to force an angle.
That's why I said that chalk mark there that you can see just 4 inches above the cue ball would have been ideal, but he'll still play the shot.
Yeah, that was a problem.
See, he played it, and as we said, because the cue ball wasn't, so you can actually see his chalk mark there on the table, which is almost exactly on the blue spot. That's where his chalk mark is, where he's just struck the cue ball. 4 inches above that, there's a smaller chalk mark. That's where he wanted it. Had the cue ball have been literally 4 inches there, he would never have missed that cannon.
Yeah, I think really looking back, he might be thinking, no, I'm good. He might be thinking that he probably should have took his medicine really and just played for the ball down the rail.
Yeah, I think
or the double, like you said.
I think he just saw it as a bit of a free go at it. Really, I mean, he's obviously hit it way too hard.
I think if he left the angle, what you said, then yeah, it's a free go. But because he's like virtually no angle, he should have known that if he over hits this, it could be on the bottom cushion. This is a tough shot now, isn't it? It's tougher because he's made it tougher. Good shot. Ooh. Ain't it too bad?
No, but I think as he left the perfect angle for a shot.
Yeah.
to pot your ball and kick your bad one off. Or is it too fat?
Yeah, it looks a little bit too fat for me. He has got other options. But you can see their confidence is definitely sucking out of them a little bit. So it's gonna. I would imagine at some point one of these guys is gonna find something. But again, like he sort of jumped on the shot there, and he made that fat.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why he's lost the cue ball a little bit. He can still make this, but he's made it a bit tougher than what it should have been. But now it's going to be tough now because he's the one on the cushion. I guess he's going to be looking at a double just because I think the way he feels, he's not confident about playing another tough shot down the cushion.
Yeah, and what we mean by hit that fat is basically he potted the yellow into the wrong side of the pocket, which means he potted it thicker than he wanted to, which now means that the cue ball was nowhere near where he wanted it.
Yeah, I think he was actually, I'm guessing he was playing for the one in the middle. Even coming up table for the one near the rail, the one closest to the pocket. So he has to commit to what he's going to do, because it looks like he's taking more and more time now over these finishes.
It just looks like he's lost a lot of confidence to me at the minute.
Yeah. I think he misses. Oh no.
Oh, where's the cue ball here though?
Yeah, he's got out of sync now, and he's starting to lose his rhythm and his touch and everything.
He's just had a sort of a bit of a tap on the table and a bit of a puff of the cheeks, which tells you that he's sort of a little bit like, oh, what's going on here at the minute?
He needs to come with something good now.
Gonna pot this and land on the double. He's been very lucky here, you know. He's potted the yellow, the whites then glanced the red on the way down, and he's actually left him on the double.
It's not perfect though. He could have done. I mean, in an ideal world, he'd like to be 2 inches shorter there. So is he kissing the yellow?
Yes, with right hand side. I think he can just
okay.
bump it. I think he's quite good.
Yeah, it looked okay. I thought that's what I was worried about, of him missing it.
He just didn't play with any side.
Yeah, exactly.
I think with right hand side he kisses it over the hole.
Now he's made this tough. This is really tough. Not only this shot, but the next shot. Especially the way they're feeling. You know what I mean? If you're super confident, you fancy your chances here.
Depending on how well he hits this, will be depending on how tough the next one is.
Yeah, I don't like him for this shot. No, I don't. Because I knew he was going to over-hit the ball. You know, when you're struggling, you end up hitting the ball too hard, and then you go to absolutely sweet as a nut.
And because he knew he was going to be faced with a tough one next, he just wanted to be as close as possible.
Yeah. It just shows, doesn't it, how tough the game can be. I mean, if you watch him in his quarter-final and semi-final, till now it's like watching two different people. But there can be many reasons for it. And, I mean, Liam struggled also. So it's not like... so far, maybe they're thinking about the title. Maybe it's the biggest match they've ever played in their career. In many ways, it'd be definitely the biggest win they've had, regards the standard of the field.
It will, for definite.
I mean, you could argue this is a proper World Championship field. I mean, throw in a couple of foreigners and one or two other players like Gareth and Mick. I mean, it's right there, isn't it?
Yeah, there's certainly not too many players missing from this event. I know you say, well, okay, there may be some foreign players that are missing, but you know, let's be brutally honest about it. There's no foreign players that are missing that are any better than anyone that's here. Yeah,
I mean, more to give it an international flavour.
Yeah,
but that's about it. Really.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a few Australians that can play really good, and a couple of French guys, but after that you're struggling. You know,
okay, so they're obviously having an interval. That was the 10th frame. They're just going to have just a quick toilet break, I think. So we'll just pick up the commentary when they come back.
Yeah.
Scott breaking off, and he really needs his frame. The white's been kicked in. He was really unlucky there. He parked that white in the middle of the table. Ball came around and just kicked it down. And he's got a really good break as well as Red's. Very simple. So very quickly this could turn into 7-4. And those are just the fine margins that you get in this game. It's perfect break.
And George there, who's been the referee all week, doing a great job, and he's just took the short rack off, and I presume this red that he's now putting back, I presume that this does pot into the left corner.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure it does. Seeing the overhead view. Yeah, I think it clearly doesn't go into bottom right, but bottom left.
Oh, and I mean, Wildies, there you go, it like goes, yeah, and it clearly goes. And literally this finish could not be any easier, because he's got the ball that's over the right middle, will be his penultimate ball, to just run down to land on the last one below the black. And, you just couldn't have put a better last ball, really. And you couldn't have put, the one over the middle was perfect, so he'll just pop this one into the middle now, pop the one into the corner, and just drift down and leave an angle to just run down.
And Scott Gillespie at the moment will be feeling like he's just not destined to win this. That was extremely unlucky.
And that is the problem of having such a good break, when you either don't make a ball, which is not very often with him, or you're going off. You do leave a very easy finish. That's not the best of shots, though, by the way. I think he's landed absolutely dead straight on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
The ball seemed to punish you at this game. And
Yeah.
I think this could be a big turning point, where one player gets away from the other.
That's so careless to leave himself.
Yeah.
I think he may even be slightly the wrong side of it.
Yeah, he is.
That's so careless.
Any kind of angle, just a couple of inches up the table, and he could have just forced it through to where he needs to be. But this is going to leave a lot trickier red. And
Yeah, he's come like a good 2 feet too far, really. Yeah, he did have a bit of angle. I didn't think he had any angle that way.
No, I thought he was the other side of it.
So he took his time over it, didn't he? Maybe he made it quite thin on the side of the pocket. Maybe cheated the pocket quite a bit there.
yeah, they're
To the viewers at home, it's very important to understand how to cheat the pocket to create an angle when there isn't one. It's a good lesson for the amateurs.
Yeah, and I think he did do that, and it was a good shot, really, because he didn't want the cue ball on the rail, so he did purposely play the cue ball into the knuckle to get it out, because he definitely wouldn't have wanted the cue ball flat on that side rail. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he did play that off the knuckle. So it was a good shot, and there's a bit of daylight now. And to be honest, the way that Scott looks and the way that he's played, to be honest, I struggle to make a case for him to get him back in this match.
Yeah, and there's a case for, like, Liam's probably forgot all about his mistakes now, because he's 7-4 up, and he's thinking, how am I 7-4 up? So he's happy, and you can see it in the body language. Look, he's
Yeah.
up. He's sort of smelling blood now, where you can see Scott is thinking about the mistakes. But it's hard not to when he's made so many mistakes. You know what I mean? We're all human at the end of the day. When you're struggling, you're struggling. And we see it in all sports. When you completely go, it doesn't matter who you are. It's tough. It's tough to. I mean, you keep trying, but sometimes it's just not happening.
yeah.
Where you can see this kid's got like that spring in his step now. He's raring to go.
Yeah, he's up there, he's ready, and he's up out of his seat before he'd even got the rack on the table.
The Duster, is that his nickname?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's looking to dust this match over, get it over and done with.
And we have seen bigger turnarounds and bigger comebacks in this event, but Scott's going to have to really dig deep now. He needs to find something, and he also needs Liam to make some mistakes.
The hardest thing in any cue sport is when you lose confidence.
Yeah.
When you lose confidence, it's horrible. And I think at the minute Scott's just lost some confidence.
Yeah, he needs something big to happen, really. Like a dry break, easy run out, and then a good break, get back in it that way. It's got to happen quick, though, I think. But look at the beautiful arena what the guys have created here.
And that's a great camera angle for you to see that arena. I love that camera angle.
And all the sponsors there. Thanks to all the sponsors who's made it happen.
Yeah. A quick mention to them. You can see Supreme. They're the brand of the series, the Supreme Pool series, and everything's named after them. The new set of rules named after them. The new rack is named after them.
And for anyone that doesn't know who Supreme are, they are the table manufacturers of the table that you're seeing.
Yeah, indeed, that's a Supreme winner. And if you would like to buy one of those tables, you can buy one on one of the other sponsors' websites, homeleisure.com, to k8.com, the bookmaker, to Strachan, and to Aramith, and not forgetting, you can see on the right-hand side of your screen there, the main sponsor for this event, Jason Owen.
Yeah, Strachan are the leading cloth manufacturer in the world. I have a personal sponsorship deal with Strachan as well. They are.
Didn't Strachan join it with Aramith?
Join it with Aramith, yeah, and also with Simonis.
Yeah.
And as Nick said, Home Leisure Direct. Take a look at their website, which is homeleisuredirect.com. They are the largest table retailer in the UK.
Yeah, Strachan's a great company. They used to sponsor me also. Supreme probably been the leading table for a long time now in the UK.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly that's all I've ever known in my English 8 ball.
Well, the early days
career.
you had the Hazel Grove and Super League tables.
Super League, yeah, that's why I had in my house when I first grew up.
I remember going to your house.
Yeah.
You're about 10 years old then.
Liam felt he could take a bit of a liberty there in trying that double. He's got the top right pocket covered, and other reds are tied up, so...
Yeah, he obviously left it there and saw it as a free go at the double. And this is not what you want to be on here at 7-4 down on these reds.
No, very tricky. And Scott, not the kind of player who would want to take a game tactically either, so...
Yeah, there's no choice here. There's no attacking option.
No, I think he has to cover the yellow that's at the top right.
Yeah.
At the top right of the table there, I think he has to just bump the red in front of it and cover it. And this is where you can get a long frame at World Rules if you've got two players that really know what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think with these two, they're not quite sure what they're doing.
Would there be no value in pushing a red over this bottom right pocket?
Well, the reason why there's no value in doing that is because you're leaving him a free shot at the double again.
Sure.
Yeah.
So he's just going to pop the one in the middle now, stun down, and he's got a free go at the double.
Yeah, if you're playing a guy who's a good doubler, like a Phil Harrison, something like this is a waste of time, this shot.
Yeah. And even if he gets it over the pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His red's still dead at the top, really. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
he can bank it up and down, but double it, sorry. But, yeah. He had to really show his patience there. Like Gareth says, cover that yellow with that red up there and just really grind out the frame that way. It might have been a 20-minute frame, but I don't think he's prepared to show that patience just because of the way the game's gone. But he simply might not know, you know what I mean, just with the rules. And so one good double, really. And he's, yeah, probably. And there's not that much pressure on the shot, really.
No, and he'll play it at pocket pace, because if he gets it over the hole.
What I like here is to play like a soft screw and just kiss the red, so that if he doesn't make the double, he's going to stop the long double on the red, because that red's going to be on this cushion. Because we play like a soft screw. It depends how he's feeling. But he could play a soft screw here, like control soft screw, but It depends how he's feeling. If he's feeling confident, just play it.
I think he'll just play normal and slowly.
I was thinking percentage-wise, but he's lost a cue ball really anyway. Well, he did he? He didn't really play it with any conviction, did he?
No, but you
It's
are.
not bad, though.
But well, there is a finish. I know you.
Yeah, I mean now he could go for it.
Yeah, there's a
That
finish.
double's there.
Like you said, the double's there. These two down the rail do go.
Yeah, I think that's why I like the soft screw. And kiss that red, so he could have blocked that out.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's a really loose shot, and just Scott just not on the races now. He's not showing any kind of the form that he was showing in his quarter-final and semi-final.
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen Scott playing the last 8 and the semis and all the other matches, it's hard to believe, really.
It is hard to believe that this is the same player, in all fairness.
But he's starting to get to the stage where he's playing the wrong shots as well. You know what I mean? Because he's lost that much confidence. He's not even thinking straight. Where Liam, I mean, he's still struggling himself, but at least he's just picking up the pieces, really.
Yeah.
But I think Koss is a bit more steady. That little B game, he's got maybe a slightly stronger B game, and I think that's showing.
Not being put under pressure either, is he?
Yeah, he's just a bit more steady, isn't he, in these type of games? You know what I mean? He's happy to grind it out and take his time.
One thing I will say though is he has had the better set of balls a lot of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, the balls dictate a lot also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that key frame was one of the. Wow, goodness me.
Right, so he obviously cued it. I could see he cued across that, even though I couldn't see his back arm. I could see the top of his arm come out. But in his defence, well, I'll say in his defence, he'd ran out of time. So the referee was counting down, and she was on 2 as he struck the cue ball. Now, you could argue, should he have let it get to that?
Get this shot here. This is not right.
Oh, this is a black ball shot.
If he's trying to get his ball out.
I thought he was taking it.
The way he was queuing up.
I thought he was playing out the top left to kick it out.
No, he's going to play the double.
Yeah, I mean, that's the right shot.
Yeah.
But the way he was queuing up, I'm thinking he's going to try and knock it out.
Yeah.
Off the side rail.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh, yes, he has just. It just comes slightly too high.
Well, now Scott's got to really make something happen and take the game by the scruff of his neck, because he must be thinking, right, come on, one big push here, because you're still getting chances.
Yeah, yeah. And I was just about to say a second ago that the really big frame for me and a massive turning point was just the last frame when he's nailed the break and got kicked it off. You know, if he can break and dish there, it's 6-5, and he's going to feel confident and very much in the game. But now at 3 behind, it's an uphill battle. He's tried to leave an angle there to knock out his bad ball.
He's got to take the one over the pocket.
Yes, he has to play one over the pocket now. And you see there's a chalk mark that's just to the right-hand side. Or there's 2 chalk marks. The one that's just to the right-hand, so there's 3 reds here. The one to the right-hand side, the chalk mark, he'd like the cue ball just somewhere near that chalk mark that leaves a natural angle.
At the start of this, he didn't really need to go, but he's committed.
It's too high again.
Just okay.
Just
Yeah,
okay
he is just okay, but he's got to sort of play like a punchy little.
Yeah, he's got to be careful not to get the double kiss here.
Yeah.
This could be turn out bad. Ooh, just okay. He did get the double kiss, but it come out.
He did get the double kiss, yeah.
And it's not great, though. This is not great. Right. It's a little bit thinner than what he wanted.
Yeah, and does he have to check it?
Well, that's the problem when he leaves it so late, because he's relying on that one ball to get position. He should be okay, but because of the way the match has gone and the way he's been struggling, you're sort of fearing the worst a little bit.
So I think he's got to go 2 cushions, so I think he's got to use the top cushion as well here with check. There you go, yeah. 1 cushion, 2 cushions. And he did need check, and he didn't get enough on. And he's got straight down here.
Straight down.
Oh, he hasn't even.
Tough shot. Great shot.
Yeah, that's a really good shot.
It's the best shot of the match for me so far for him. Because under what he's gone through.
I think he just didn't want to rue the fact that he was on the rail. He just wanted to
get on with it, didn't
just
he?
get on with it.
Which could be a good thing.
Yeah.
And that might be the match saver for him.
Yeah.
I think if he misses that ball, I think you just about throw the towel in.
Oh, yeah.
It did only just make
I thought
this.
I thought he was
missed
going
the
to catch the
knuckle.
knuckle for a second. Yeah.
Yeah, that was massive. For me, that frame was massive.
So, and now this break becomes even more significant. If he can break and run here and come back within one, the pressure's really going to be back on Liam.
But now it's sort of a little body language change now. It's like it's amazing how just one frame can change everything.
Yeah, yeah. You almost feel the pendulum swing. You feel that momentum shift. You almost audibly feel it in the air.
He's down and out. He's thinking it's going to be 8-4. All of a sudden, he's made a good shot to win the frame, even though he shouldn't have been in that position. And he's at 7-5. He's thinking, right, come on, one last push.
I would imagine there's a lot of people up in Scotland watching this match.
Yeah.
They are very passionate about the pool up there, and they do get behind their players and support them.
Oh yeah, yeah. They've definitely got the bragging rights this week. They'll enjoy the fact that they beat all the English as well.
There's a guy just
Swept
explaining
us all aside
to his missus about what should and shouldn't happen, and oh, she looks excited about it. Look,
That's Paul Riley, and he's made the trip down from the northeast.
Yeah, quite a lot of people have travelled for this tournament. A lot of guys from Ireland, Scotland, Wales, all over England.
So just a little bit about how the players may be feeling now. Bearing in mind it's been a long 3 days of pool. Certainly, they've been in action quite a lot, even though they've come through the winner's side. It's early mornings, late nights. Today, possibly he had to get up at 8 o'clock this morning to get into action, and here we are at 1 a.m. still going.
Well,
you've got to stay hydrated. You've got to somehow stay mentally strong.
I mean, I was up at 7 a.m. this morning. I'll be honest with you, I'm shattered myself. So I mean, obviously the players are going to be very tired.
Yeah. Does the adrenaline keep you going?
It does.
Is it the buzz?
It does, and they are going to be shattered. But you have to say to yourself, look, obviously this is a major final, and you don't know if you're ever going to be in the final of a major event ever again. None of us do. So you have to obviously make the most of it. And yes, they're tired. Yes, they're going to be feeling flat and a little bit deflated. But you have to just take a bit of perspective and say, look, I am in a major final here for a lot of money, and I have got to give it my all.
I'll tell you what I do think. I think the level's going to pick up here because they're starting to feel, oh, we're at the nitty-gritty. So no more silly mistakes.
Yeah, you can just sense that Scott's got a little bit of a spring in his step now.
Yeah, it's sort of that point of no return. You can't afford too many mistakes now. I mean, one more mistake could be a two-game swing, and then obviously it's 7-5 and a race to 11. It's going to be maybe too much to come back. And say there, he's playing a bit more sensible now.
Yeah.
But that's good though. I like that because the Reds are no good. You know what I mean? So he's taking control of the game.
But being such a naturally attacking player, the yellow where it was located behind the red was a dead set plant in the bottom corner. So I was just wondering if he could try and manufacture a cannon, but decided to take the more defensive option.
Yeah,
has he left this?
Wow. Yeah, but I mean, look at the table.
Yeah.
And if he gets these, then fair play to him.
Yeah, he deserves them for sure.
Even if he goes for them.
I think he's going to play the two reds in the top corner and try and squeeze the cue ball on the inside of it and snooker him.
Yeah, should do. Yeah. If he gets this right, you never know. It's a good shot. Would have liked it a bit tighter, but he's played it pretty good, I think.
He has, and he's got him total snookered. He's wedged
Tell you
him
what,
in.
he's become favourite in this frame now.
Well, he definitely has, because the red that's on the left side of the table, providing he gets the cue ball in the right place, is almost a gimme double.
Yeah, and I think it cuts in the middle there also. But a bit double it, like you said. Well, Scott somehow needs to, if he's total snookered. So if he can play this dead weight and get behind the yellows, okay, but I don't think he can. I think he's got to spin the cue ball a little bit.
Oh, he's in all sorts in this frame.
If he's got to masse this ball, he's in a lot of trouble. Because it's hard to keep the control without hitting it too hard. Now look at this. We've got very fortunate there. Very fortunate not going off.
He did, but
He's left him a great chance.
I just don't think he'll be coming back to the table.
Yeah. I don't know what Liam was looking at there. He was looking originally to play the red off the yellow, which is not the shot when he doesn't need to do, but I don't like that shot. Unless it's dead set. It doesn't look
You're
natural.
still looking at it.
Plus you're hitting is the yellow. You're not 100% sure where the yellow's going.
No, yeah, and this is world rules, so it does matter where the yellow's going.
Yeah, exactly.
But he doesn't need to play this shot, does he?
He doesn't need to play the shot.
I
No.
don't think it's a lock, is it? It's not like it's not a dead ball. This.
No, no,
it's the wrong shot.
no.
There's no need for that shot
No.
at all.
Too much risk in there.
He's basically played the first shot he's looked at. He hasn't even looked around the table,
No,
thinking,
no.
oh, maybe I should play the double, maybe pop this ball first and then play the double.
The double's unmissable.
Yeah, I mean, at this level, I mean, I'd be shocked if he missed that ball. Even if you're worst doubler in the world, you should poke at something like that ball.
He's and he's left a good chance now, and he's left him on his batter on the rail to screw down and play on his other one at the rail. And if he's come good on this, he could pot this and screw back and bump the other one over the other middle. I don't know if he's left that angle. That's the shot he would have tried to play.
Yeah, he might just screw the cue ball back straight to where he is now, actually. Make this one nearest to the pocket and get back to where he is now. And play the one down the rail. Yeah. Oh, he's going to take them at the top first, sorry. Oh, that's not great. Unless it passes the red.
Yes.
Yeah.
Too straight. I'm pretty sure it doesn't pass into the right, but he's left it dead straight.
Yeah, this is not good if he's if that yellow doesn't.
He'll just have to go back for it, won't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's putting in the mileage with this cue ball now.
Yeah, this is an important shot right here.
Yeah.
He needs to get right on this yellow.
Yeah, and has he got to now play this with the tracer run inside?
Yeah, he definitely does.
Yeah, this can definitely go wrong. You just make sure you don't want low, if anything. But you don't want to be too high either. And this is just not good, really.
No.
So he's going to have to come round the table. He
And
can't miss the
there's,
black, can he? So he's going to have to play like he's got to play a bit of draw with a bit of inside.
Yeah,
A
so
bit of
bottom left,
like
yeah.
bottom left, but you've got to hit this really nice. You've got to really control this one. Really trust it. Nice shot.
Yeah,
Very nice.
That's
yeah,
one of
that
his
is
better
really
shots.
good. And actually, this is more reminiscent of what we've seen earlier today.
Well, that was a really confident
Yes.
stroke on that.
Yeah, and that was one thing that impressed me. And he was just punching everything in. Just such a confident player. And it's good to see him start to get his swagger back.
Yeah, that's a good shot also.
That's, yeah, superb, perfect.
And even though he made this rack a little bit tougher, it might give him more confidence because he pulled out a couple of good shots.
And do you know what? It just feels to me that Scott may have. I know he's still one behind, and it's Liam's break. But with the momentum, you just feel like he may have gone favourite.
Yeah, it's definitely game on again now, isn't it?
Yeah, I would like to price it at the bookie. That's for sure.
I think we're going to go 10-10.
Yeah, and it's hard to price a match and pick a winner when both are obviously making quite a few mistakes, because
Yeah, I think there's going to be a few more twists and turns.
but Scott definitely has got a bit of a spring in his step now, and I think he's got that sort of right. He's gone through a bit of a bad spell, and he's sort of like, right, okay, I'm back now. I'm here to win.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Lee in the future will be looking to schedule the tournament so that it's not such a late night finish. Obviously, you can see that the energy's running low, and obviously it's a long weekend, and I think that's something Lee spoke about. Obviously, 99% of what he's done is great, but there's always that room for improvement. And
ideally,
he's open to a little bit of criticism. Not criticism, but I mean advice, let's say.
Ideally, you'd like to be starting the final around about 9, wouldn't you?
Well, at latest.
Yeah.
Especially on a Sunday.
Well, yeah, and it's not so bad because obviously here it's a bank holiday weekend, so people are obviously off work tomorrow. The other ones won't be a bank holiday weekend, so you know people have to work first thing in the morning. So you've got to think about the crowd.
Yeah. I think 8 o'clock's a good time start.
Yeah.
Final. Well, if that's possible, you know.
Yeah, it's the scheduling. It's a problem with 16 tables.
Yeah, but playing, if he goes to 16 players single elimination, I think it can work. That's a good break. That's one of his better breaks in the match. Still lost a cue ball to the right, but it was a good solid hit. Well, because he's losing, it's amazing how he gets his cue ball here all the time. I'll tell you what, I mean, that takes some doing.
Every single time it's around this.
And that's why he's getting tricky openers. Like his first shot's always tough, right? I mean, not gimmies. I mean, so he's putting a lot of stress on himself.
And he's gonna go Reds, and he's not on one yet until he pots one. He hasn't nominated yet, but I'm sure he is gonna go Reds.
Yeah. It wouldn't shock me if he went yellows, just because I'm thinking, does the red pass these 2 yellows into this left corner?
I think he can cut the other one into the middle though, first shot. I think that's where he'll play.
Yeah.
So you guys are both technically very savvy. You obviously make great coaches because you can see the way the players stand and their cue action. Just give us a little insight, or a little bit of advice, because there's a lot of people watching, a lot of club players, a lot of people interested in pool. What are the key points you could offer just to try and improve your game?
Well, I mean, you're first with your stance, really.
Yeah.
I mean, people sometimes they're off balance. I mean, it's like a boxing stance. If you got the balance right, then if someone tries pushing you, you're not going to fall over. So that's the first thing, really. Just get the basics right, and then everything else is. Because if you get the basics right, your alignment's going to be good. And if your basics are not right and your alignment's out, then you're never going to improve. Because you've got so many bad habits. It's like me playing golf. I know that I'm doing the bad things, but I just can't bother to get a coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's tough to like correct what I'm doing wrong.
Sure.
So and pool's the same. I mean, your basics and your alignment's the key. And you're seeing it now a lot now these days with people using aiming systems. And it doesn't work for everyone, but it can definitely work for someone who doesn't have the fundamentals right and the basics right. So yeah, I mean, alignment and fundamentals are the key, and maybe just taking a step back and walking into the line of the shot.
Yeah.
But it's something you got to learn and study. It's very, very difficult to talk about. You have to put it into practice.
Yeah.
And you've got to study the game.
So in the meantime, Liam played that as a bit of a shot to nothing, really. But even if it had dropped, he was, he was reverting to playing a snooker. Not sure if Scott can get through. He's having a close look now to see if he can get through to the potting angle.
They can definitely make the one down the rail.
He can make the one down the rail for sure, yeah.
And this would be big. If he could make this ball and get out from here, I think he goes favourite for sure.
And he doesn't have to pot the black in the bottom left corner. I don't know if it is a big pocket, but he has the option to play the black top left from where that red is, but he's not going to get that option now.
Yeah, that's a big pocket. I think looking from here to the table, it looks pretty nice, but it was a tough shot what he missed there. I mean, you can miss that when you're playing really well, so it's hard to criticise that shot.
Yeah, so he'll pot the one over the top right now, and he'll want to leave an angle on the one next to the black in such a way where he can top it in and just dislodge the black a little bit, because he's guaranteed to be on the one over the middle. So if he finishes there, he will definitely play the shot to just nudge the black away.
Perfect.
Perfect. Yeah.
There's a really good question there from Adam Lair, actually. He said, how can you improve breaking with power? You know, trying to keep that same accuracy.
Yeah, it's tough. The break is tough. Even a lot of the top players are still, working on their break and still can't quite get it right. And the thing that you have to do with the break is you have to make sure that you drive the cue downwards. We call it driving through the sort of the bed of the table. And
wow.
Oh, he's missed that.
Yeah, and the conditions play a big part. Sometimes you might have to go a bit lower or a little bit higher, depending on how the table's breaking and the conditions. But like Gareth says, I mean, you've got to go through the cue ball. If you're not timing it well, then it doesn't matter who you are. You're just not going to be consistent with the break.
Yeah. So when the tip impacts with the cue, you've then got to drive the cue forward and keep the momentum going forward, rather than just hit the cue ball and then pull the cue back instantly, as though you're playing a little screw shot. You've got to drive it straight the way through. And as I said, with what happens with Liam's break is when he makes contact with the cue ball, the cue actually then flicks up in the air and ends up facing up towards the ceiling. And what you can find happens with that is a lot of the power gets lost going up into the air, basically, rather than keeping the momentum travelling through the pack. So the break is, you've obviously got to hit it with a lot of power, but you've got to find the balance between power and control.
Yeah, and practice. Very important to practice the break. I mean, like the great breakers in American pool, like Shane Van Bonen and people like Jason Shaw, they practice hours on the break alone. And I think in what I see in English pool is that I think there's a lot of people not doing that. I think some are, like people like Tom Cousins. He looks like he's one of them guys that puts a lot of hours in on his break. I think a lot of the guys who've been playing a long time, I think, why haven't they improved their break? You know what I mean? I mean, it's getting more and more important. And it's really, I think, like you say, I think this year it's going to show up a lot, especially on this series, especially when we get to the black ball rules. Yeah. The break's going to be massive.
But some people are naturally better breakers than others.
Yeah, but I mean, everyone can improve their break if they really want to. I mean, if you're a really good, if you're a really good top player, you should have the ability to improve your break.
You know what? Has he been unbelievably lucky here?
He might have been, yeah.
He has. He's actually looking over at me there, laughing, because
it doesn't go in the middle, does it? Surely.
No, it doesn't. But it might go in the corner.
He's looking to see if it goes in the corner.
So I think he can see the one across the back rail, and he will naturally drift up, and I think it goes, because he just looked over and smiled at me as if to say, "How have I landed on this?"
But he's going to make sure he makes this first. Yeah, it goes. It's tight, but it goes.
Yeah, it's hard to see,
but
because
this needs to be potted
because the cue ball's in the way. But wow.
And we'll see if it's a big pocket here.
Yeah, and if it is tight, then he can just drop it in and play the black long.
It definitely goes.
It does go, look.
He needs to bear down and make sure it's not a full pocket, but it definitely goes. It's got just over half a pocket, I'd say.
Great camera angle.
I was going to say, we brought you the perfect camera angle.
Yeah, the camera guys really come up trumps there. Oh, wow.
Oh.
He just decelerated and quit on it.
Yeah.
Just
dropped. Like he put some sort of spin on the cue ball, which he didn't need to.
I think he put left hand side on the cue ball, trying to check it off the rail to play the black long, but he clearly went. I would have just played the black into the same pocket there, and just played a little screw shot of right hand side, because on those shots, you naturally want to play it with right hand side. You're used to playing it with right hand side. You're not used to playing that shot with left. It's like an unnatural way to play it.
Especially with that tight as well.
Yeah, I think he's played it the wrong way there.
He's left it tricky for Liam with the ball down there, but he's got...
Well, Liam's just happy to be at the table.
That's right, absolutely. And he is... Well, he's left the...
Well, it's all about this shot, isn't it?
Left
no, sorry. There. It's all about the shot in the middle, because that goes in the middle.
Yeah.
If he leaves an angle on the one in the middle, he's got a great chance.
So there's enough room to the left-hand side of that red to drop on it to the right, but
yeah, he needs to be like somewhere near the black spot on the rack. Oh, he's played this.
Wow.
Like amazes me, that does.
Playing a snooker.
So that red went in the side pocket. So I'm thinking he could have got down to near the bottom half of the table and made the one in the side and come across for the red in the bottom right.
Can he swerve this into the jewels?
Yeah, well, where the cue ball's going is a different story.
Yeah, true.
But if he gets a shot on the black, he's happy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because if he comes off the left rail here and kicks it in, as long as the white ball comes into the bottom rail here in the centre, he can cut the black into the top.
I thought he was going to go top rail here with left-hand
Wow.
side.
I can't believe this. Wow, what a shot.
Oh, he's just caught the red on the way through, and that is curtains.
I was pretty
Wow.
sure that he could swerve. He could make the ball rail first. Maybe I didn't get a good look at that.
I wasn't sure. The ball was sort of wedged on the left knuckle, and I wasn't sure if he could get it to grip quick enough. I thought he would go, and the reason why he went basically straight and then played it with a load of left-hand side is because he had to widen the angle. He just didn't get enough side on.
Yeah, the black was in the
wasn't
natural
far off.
path.
Yeah, it was tough anyway, because even if he hit the yellow, he might have fouled the cue ball in.
And that's another massive swing of the pendulum.
Yeah, he's won a lot of frames like this, has Liam. A good 3 or 4 frames like this, where he's just picked up the pieces.
Yeah. Scott going to be ruining his luck. Well, not his luck. His really had a great opportunity there. One that he would have expected to take.
Yeah, maybe a big moment. It's been 7-7, 8-6. So every frame's getting really important now.
Okay, re-establishes a 2-frame lead. And that could so easily have been 7 frames each. There's still a few people remaining in the arena, some diehards, even though we are quite late into the night now, 1:15. This tournament's still got some legs. I think we'll be up for another good half an hour, maybe if Scott mounts his comeback, maybe even as much as an hour. So stay tight.
What have you got coming up, Gaz? Anything on the horizon?
Yeah, so I go to China next week. Like I say, it was supposed to be last week, which originally meant I would miss this event, but that's now been rescheduled for next week.
Oh, what are you going there for?
I go for just for a week. I've just got a couple of challenge matches to play and a bit of promotional work. They have added a couple of new events this year to the calendar. A couple of big events for really good money. So just the usual China stuff, really. Like I say, they've added a big one in August. So
whereabouts in China are you going?
I always fly to Beijing, and then the challenge matches are sort of all over the place, generally in the north, because in the north of China is where the Chinese 8-ball is more popular, and in the south it would be snooker and American pool that would be more popular. So generally it's around the north. That's where most of the top players in China come from, is the north.
Right. So you don't mind the flying around there?
No, I sort of get used to it. As you know yourself, you do get used to it, and the airlines now are obviously a lot better than they used to be. So I don't mind. I do a lot of internal traveling. I think not last year. Yeah, last year, the year before. I actually counted them, and including the internal flights in China, I did over 100 flights in a year.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy.
it can get a lot, but I sort of get used to it, and it's a job and something, just feel lucky to do something that I love for a living.
If you can fade the flying, then it's a great job.
Yeah.
And there's lot of people really dislike the flying.
And in the meantime, Scott was kicked in the middle. He didn't hit that one anywhere near as well.
He was kicked in the middle, but he did lose the cue ball to the middle anyway.
Still unlucky though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's naughty. Last ball coming, knocks it in the side.
Yeah, it was.
But he gave it an opportunity to get kicked in.
And just when Scott had that spring in his step, like we said, and looked like he was going to get back into this match, and had he have won that frame like he should have won that frame,
it's like hard to predict this match, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's just swung again here because he's nicked that frame again, and now look at these reds.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just keeps knocking his energy when that happens. I mean, that last frame was massive. It's like a free game swing, isn't it? Instead of 7-all, you're sort of 9-6.
Yeah, and he's running out of frames.
Be interesting to see how this kid closes out the match. Because even though you want to win the title, in a few years' time, you won't care how you played, but you still got pride in performance. You want to finish with some sort of style.
Definitely, and that's something that I personally understand. It, you know, it doesn't sort of say how on the trophy. It just says who. I get that, but me personally, you know, you want to play well. You know, you want to play well in every match you play, but especially in a final like this. You know, because the final is the one that people remember. The final is the one that people talk about. It's the one that people watch. Yeah. So, pride of performance for me personally is quite important.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you don't want to be winning and you're sort of like bottling it, if you know what I mean, but still winning. Like missing balls and still winning it. Yeah, you're happy you won, but when you wake up tomorrow, you think, but got a little lucky, really.
Yeah, you certainly take a lot more satisfaction out of, you know, for example, Scott would take a lot more satisfaction out of playing like he did against Farnsworth.
Yeah, for sure.
Than, obviously, you know, we all obviously know how good he is and how he's performed in this tournament is certainly much better than he showed in this final. He is a fantastic player, and we both said that, well, I knew the firepower that he'd got when he gets it going. He can do some damage, and I know you were sort of quite surprised at what you'd seen, and obviously he's much better than he's played here, but you got to remember we are sort of 20 past 1 in the morning. They have been playing for 3 days solid.
Yeah, I mean, most people, when you're watching on the stream and everything else, think, well, yeah, but it's a game of pull, like, just make the balls. But when you're here all day and night, and you're not even eating properly, really, you know what I mean? It's hard to find time to eat, and some players can't even eat when they're playing pool.
Yeah, and one of the things as well, which is I always found is, you know, when you finish a match late at night, you know, you finish at 12, 1 o'clock, and you're on at 9 o'clock the next day, because what happens is your mind's still active. When you get back to the when you're playing, you feel exhausted, but when you get back to the hotel room, your mind's still going. You're still thinking about everything. You're on a high. You're thinking about tomorrow. You just can't sleep.
Can't shut down now.
Liam just trying to play.
That's just terrible.
Yeah, he's just trying to play that so gently and hold beneath the yellow.
But there was no need to play. No. He should have been playing with that with a bit of right hand spin to make sure you don't come underneath the yellow. So I mean, he's struggling also.
And I know I can see that he's thinking, right, obviously this is a huge match, and like Daz said, possibly one of the biggest certainly be the biggest tournament, the best field either of these players have ever won. And
yeah, I mean, especially for Liam.
For me, he just looks like he's trying to make sure too much. I mean, he had a really easy finish there, and he's walking on the table 3 times, having a look. I mean, when they're there, they're there. You know, it's just and. Walking around the table is looking for problems. If I land on that, I could land there, and you just maybe looking for things that are not there. And when you're under pressure, you just want to get on with it.
Yeah, and the people what are watching, I think the people what are watching, who've just switched in for the first time this week, and they were thinking, "Wow, how have these 2 guys got to the final?" But believe me, I mean, to get to the final, they played virtually perfect pool. So it just shows you that nothing's guaranteed in this game.
Yeah, and this tournament hasn't been played best of 3s. It's double elimination, race to 11, race to 8 in the loser side.
But I must say, I'm still. I understand they're tired, a bit fatigued and everything, but I'm still very surprised with this. With how poor they've played. I thought one of them would have grabbed the match by the scruff of the neck at some stage.
So Nick, I know you're a big pool fan, and you watch a lot of all different types of Q Sports and pool. How have you personally found it this weekend? I know obviously it's got to be tiring for you. You know, you've commentated on basically every single match that's been on this table. You know, you've put a lot of hours in, and I was just saying when you nipped over there and the camera went on you, what a great job you'd done. How have you found it this weekend?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, foremost, the reason I do commentary is because I just absolutely love the game, and I've commentated on some pretty big events, and also on quite a number of some of the biggest money matches that have happened actually, and I was so excited about this series, and it's just played out exactly how I hoped, if not better. I mean, it's just been incredible. Some of the matchups, you know, one of the most exciting ones for me was when suddenly I can't remember exactly who the matchup was, but it was sometime yesterday afternoon, and suddenly I noticed that the next game on the stream table was something like it was Melling versus Farnsworth, and that's just like that just does it for me. I mean, that's just incredible. Just being able to see those two players go toe to toe, and the tournament just got more and more exciting as even in the run up to it, when Darren announced that he was entering, it just upped the intensity, and then Jason come along, and I was literally just sort of messaging my friends there, have you seen who's entering this tournament? It's just absolutely incredible. And there was so much anticipation about it. I've been excited about it for months, and it's just, as I say, it's fantastic. I can't speak highly enough about the arena, the event, the players that are in it, and the standard of pool has been just incredible, off the charts.
Oh, well said.
Yeah, and Lee was very clever with announcing the players. He kept teasing people. Announcements coming in a day or two.
Yeah.
Just dangling the carrot.
Just builds up that anticipation of the event. And now, you know, we need to work tirelessly over the next couple of months promoting the second event, and make sure what we need to do is just make sure that we keep sharing the stream. Invite all your friends to the Players Pool event page. Everyone watching now, just go on and just invite all your friends on there. If you invite them, they become members of the page. If they like pool, they're going to love watching event 2. So please do join it with them. We don't want to be watching it alone. We want some big audiences watching that. And Darren made that point earlier on that you know, the more we promote this game, the more interest there is in it, the more that sponsors are going to want to get involved.
Yeah, it only helps everyone, the players and the game, and the promoters and the sponsors. Let's have a good look at this rack. 8-7, so that was another game he's let go. So Scott's back in the game again. So I think we're at a stage now where it's looking more and more likely to go to the last game. The referee's let the player touch the ball there. Well, I'm not too sure that's allowed.
No.
The referee says, oh, yeah, you can touch it. I'm not too sure that should be allowed. Anyway, let's see if he can get the cue ball back to where he keeps leaving it. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, he's got it back there again.
He got kissed though, so he didn't get on the top rail. So he's actually turned out great.
It looked as if it was just starting the track towards that corner bag.
And it's pretty good, really. I mean, he cue ball got stopped, so he's not dead on the top rail. He would have had the red in the side, in the middle pocket anyway. But he's got a chance here.
Yeah, he'd like to go yellows, but can he pot one?
Yeah, I mean, he can't pot a yellow, so he's going to go reds. But the good thing, all the reds go, because I think this red, where we're on the picture now, passes this yellow into the bottom right. So it's all about a couple of really good positional shots, really. I mean, his hand's on the table. He's got to.
He wants to go yellows. He's gone yellows.
Ooh. Where's he going?
He's gonna cut this into the middle.
No.
Yeah,
He sees this as the black.
Ooh, the black ball.
This is
At
the
least
black.
he's going for it. I mean, he's taking the coward's option.
He's missed it.
Probably should have done.
Yeah. Oh, and he's in off. That is an absolute disaster.
Well, he just hit it so bad, didn't he?
Yeah.
But at least he had a go. I mean, it would have been easy to take reds and take the more difficult set.
And you can see the stuffing's been knocked out of him. If Scott Gillespie can find it in himself to take this game by the scruff of the neck, then he could just bulldoze the rest of these frames.
I think whoever wins this match is gonna sort of wonder how they've won, and whoever loses it is gonna wonder how they've lost.
It's almost a war of attrition nowadays. It's about who's mentally the strongest, who can come through this, just put everything behind them and say, do you know what, I'm going to take this.
George in the background.
Even George is tired.
Yeah. So like the foot's on Scott now. I mean, he's going to probably right now he's feeling the stronger of the two. And a nice trophy as well, like the Champions League trophy.
What about that for a shot?
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's brilliant.
Incredible.
Good camera work, guys.
Yeah, that would make a great picture on someone's wall. It's almost Monet. It's almost impressionist. So fairly simple clearance. Is anything simple at this point of the game? But he will be over the moon to be drawing level, given how he would have been feeling two or three frames ago.
When you think about the frame he lost at 7-6 to go 8-6, and then Liam's had two great chances since then. So it's just been back and forth, hasn't it? One mistake after another from both players.
Yeah. So it's a nice clearance. It was very, very makeable, but you know, you still got to do it. And nothing between these two players now. 8 frames all, but well, it's drama playing out. We just don't know which way this one's going to swing.
Yep, and after what 3 days of play, it's come down to a best of 5. Best of 5 to become the first champion. I believe £5,000 for the winner, plus wherever someone's going to win 21,000 in the Calcutta. And if you had a punt on one of these two guys, I think they were both like 50-1 at the start of the tournament. There was some great value.
Yeah, for certain. There'll be some of the Scottish supporting their own. Wouldn't be surprised if there's some of the lads up there that when they saw these two got to the final, it was just perfect for them because they probably backed them both each way.
Yeah, I think the same guy had them both actually. So, very happy.
I
think it's your pal who got kicked out.
In the Calcutta, do you mean?
Yeah.
No, I think
I
think I might be wrong, but I think Scott Gillespie is owned by Kevin Moles.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And,
Are you sure?
And Liam Dunster is owned by David Galloway.
Oh, fair play.
Yeah, I think I'm right. I wouldn't swear to it. I'm not even sure about anything anymore. After commentating about 40 hours this weekend, I don't even know my own name.
I don't know what's harder, playing pool or commentating all day.
You gotta love it.
Yeah, you gotta love the game. I know what.
Yeah, for sure.
There you go, that break.
Keeps making money.
Oh.
keeps making one into the bolt pockets all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at these reds.
This match has turned on its head again, and the Bulls are now punishing Liam for not putting this match to bed.
Yeah. And
Well, he's got to play the red first shot and then get out of there.
Just a soft little screw shot.
Just make sure, yeah, just don't baby it. It's good. It was good because he had the one in the middle anyway, but he hit that good.
see, a more negative player would have left that red over the top corner as their penultimate ball, just to think I've got that safety net in there and use that as their last ball to get on the one that he's just potted there to come down for the black.
Yeah, maybe, but
A lot of amateurs do that.
yeah, but
Yeah.
Given how easy these are, you know,
Yeah.
it's just literally dot to dot,
Yeah.
really.
I mean, at professional level, you can't be thinking like that.
No.
I mean, if you can't clear these up at professional level, you shouldn't really be entering the tournament.
Yep.
You can't be thinking, oh, that's my safety net. I'll leave it till
Yeah.
my insurance ball.
But the reason I say it is just putting it into context,
Yeah,
because
I
obviously there's
understand.
a lot of club players watching, and
Yeah.
they may well think like that. This is automatic. I've got a safety net over that pocket, so I'll just rely on that.
Yeah, one thing it can do, playing that way, is you alter your finish in accordance to what you're saying, is to make it security if you were to miss. But what that can do is it can just make the finish harder, because what you're doing is effectively taking the balls in the wrong order.
Yeah. And let's say he left that red there, Nick, till last. It would have been so hard to get on the black.
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay if the black's sort of around that area, but yeah, I mean, but you do. It is quite funny when you go in the pubs and people are just trying to pot as many balls as they can, and then they're telling their friend that I'm winning because I've potted more yellows and he's potted reds.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand it. I mean, we was the same when we first started playing. You just want to pot as many balls as possible.
Yeah,
You don't care where the other balls are.
Yeah,
You think you're winning 5-2.
My son's just about to turn 6, and it's his mentality. It's when he's watching with me, he's saying, "Who's winning, Daddy?" And it's like, "Oh, that guy's winning because he's got less balls on the table." So Scott Gillespie takes the lead for, well, that's...
From what I can remember, is that the first time?
I think it might be.
Yeah, maybe early doors. Maybe I think he maybe had a 4-3 lead.
Yeah.
I think that's only time.
Yeah. But it's like the age-old saying, isn't it? You only need to be ahead once, and that's in the last frame.
Yeah, I mean, Liam's had the 2-frame lead, hasn't he? And a 3-frame lead.
Yes. Yeah, he has. Yep. So
From 7-4 down, it's now 9-8. So he's actually won 5 of the last 6 frames, Gareth, which is quite unbelievable, really.
It is, and I'll be honest, I didn't see where that was coming from, because he looked flat, he looked like he'd lost all his confidence. Liam looked like he'd got a spring in his step, and he looked like he was getting a little bit more solid. And to be fair, it has started by Liam making a few sort of quite bad errors, really, that have let him back into this match, and I think he's sensed a weakness from Liam. And
yeah, I mean, Liam had this match to win, really, at 8-6. And, yeah, I think if he loses, he's going to look back and think, well, I've lost it.
yeah.
Where if Scott would have got beat like 11-6, 11-7, I just thought, well, I just played bad. But when you get so close like Liam did, didn't have 2 great opportunities, really, to go clear. Especially in 8-6, if you go 9-6, you think, well, I should definitely get to the hill first, get to 10 first, and then you're happy there. You just get one chance then.
yeah,
Well, now he might not get that chance. I mean, one bad break here, and it could be all over. Let's see if we can get the cue ball back in the same spot. I don't think I've ever seen that before, ever, at English Pool, where the guy's broke and the cue ball's landed virtually in the same area after every break. A good 90% of them, anyway.
yeah, and he's breaking off on this side, and what he's doing is he's hitting the cue ball in an almost dead straight line that's drawing it back to this corner.
Oh, straight in off, and that. Wow.
about the lay of the land? Are they easy, or he's got work to do?
He's got a bit of work to do.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he's got a bit of work to do.
Yeah, he's got quite a lot of work to do, actually. Amazing, isn't it? When that happens, as an opponent coming to the tape, think, oh, please be perfect, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That's how you're looking at.
Yeah.
Where's the ball's landed?
And of course, the difference in the rules in black ball, it would virtually be.
Oh, it's massive. This is where the black ball rule from the break off of the in-off is a massive difference.
Yeah, this would be virtually frame over.
It would.
But in world rules, there's all kinds of work to be done here. Firstly, establishing himself on one of the colours. So obviously in black ball, you wouldn't even have to pot on your first ball. But, only one visit here, so.
No, I think the shot you would play at black ball is you'd play the yellow down the rail onto the red.
Yep.
You'd pot the red, but then it's still an open table.
Yep.
So you'd then go yellows.
At black ball, you play the red onto the red side rail and kick him out. If that red goes on the
Yeah,
top.
yeah, you just play those two and kick it out, and the other one goes, yeah. Yeah, that's the shot you play.
I mean, I think reds is a possibility here, but I think he's trying to look at reds. No yellows. I mean, there's a game there, but what that yellow is either going to take it in the top.
I don't like moving this one.
Yeah.
I don't like moving this because he's going.
That's a good shot, actually.
Yeah, it's a good shot. He's pushed it dead because now he can knock his bad one out from this one in the middle.
Yeah, or he can play to get on it.
Yeah.
Because that's a good pocket because that red's there also.
Yeah, you'd like to take that pocket. Yeah, yeah, that's the shot actually. I think just drop him behind it. You've got the one over the corner, so you don't have to do anything with the cue ball.
Yeah, I mean, black ball, you might go into it because it don't matter if you accidentally make his red over this pocket. Well, world rules, obviously, it's a big punishment.
So maybe just looking for a slightly different angle, perhaps.
Maybe he is going to kick it out. But can he get it out, though? That's the thing. He has to hit this perfect.
Yeah, he's got to hit it full ball, isn't he?
Yeah, no. Yeah. I don't like that. Coming from the angle he's coming from, I don't like the shot.
He had a better angle before, too, if he was going to stun into it. Where the cue ball was before was better.
Yeah, I think a lot can go wrong with this. Let's see. Oh, no, he can get on it.
He's played this nice.
Well, that was a deceiving angle from the camera. I thought it was a natural to kiss the yellow there. It's perfect. It's just perfect, you know what I mean? He's not going to be on the rail after the shot, so he's just going to bear down on this.
He played a similar shot a few frames ago and didn't get close, but you fancy him to get a lot closer with this one.
Yeah,
he's got to hit it a bit harder though.
Yeah.
Nice, hit it nice.
Yes, very nice.
Yeah, you just know it's like you're just taking that little bit extra care now, a bit more authority around the table.
So, do you play the one over the hole, drop down the cue ball into the gap, play the one into the corner and stun the white onto the red?
Yeah, I'm just looking to see. I think he's got a little angle on this yellow, so it's dangerous, isn't it?
That's what I mean. He doesn't want to be touching the black, does he?
I don't like kissing any balls unless I have to. You just, I couldn't believe he could do that. So
no, obviously we are watching this from a computer screen, and we didn't think you could nip past that. And
yeah, it gives you a foreshortened view, doesn't it?
I don't know about this shot though.
No.
Still don't like it, even though he's played it well. It's not my personal choice. I want to be coming down for that yellow too, because like you're guaranteed to get close to the black. So he has to be a little bit careful here.
He does. Can't go too wide.
He's played it well.
Yeah.
But everyone's got personal preference. There's no real right or wrong in that. It's just how you feel comfortable. But he's definitely taking that little bit extra care, so he feels it.
Oh, he's double cued this one.
Double cued it.
He did, yeah. Yeah, he did double Q that, but it went in. And that's Scott on the hill from nowhere, really. I did say I wasn't sure how he was going to get back into this match, but in all fairness to him, he has found a way.
Yeah.
Okay, with a little out from Liam, but he has found a way. And he's now one frame away from winning what has been a great event.
Yeah, he's definitely found a little gear these last two frames. Yeah, it's one of them matches where if you lose, you're like sort of sick, aren't you? If you win, you're happy, but you're sort of disappointed as well. But when he wakes up tomorrow and he's on his way home to Scotland, the winner's going to be very happy. He's going to look back on the week and think, wow, what a tournament, how well they've played together here. Because it's like one of them, if you lose in the final and you play well, it's easy to stomach. But when you play really bad and you lose, I mean, they're tough ones to swallow.
Yeah, they are. They're definitely
especially when you
worse.
still got a chance to win. You play bad and you could have still won. Well, whoever loses has got to learn from it and regroup and take the positives, I guess.
So here we go. This one, another big, significant break for Scott. Can he find a break and a run out?
Keeps making a ball into the bolt corners.
How close was that again? I mean, that's the last couple frames. He's been so close to being kicked it off.
Yeah, but that would have been very unlucky.
Yeah.
It's just so strange.
I mean, he's been in off a couple of times, and every time's been unlucky.
And 90% of the time he's potted a ball, it's been into the bolt pockets.
Yeah.
Well, they have been tracking there a lot, but sometimes they get kicked away. But he's been going in there consistently.
So let's have a look at the layout of the table.
The layout looks great. If the
he's
black
on the
goes,
yellow. Yeah.
Yellows.
He's overrun that one a bit, hasn't he? Just a touch. Should be okay because he can just hold on the red here.
Well, what he wants to do, Nick, is he wants to take the one that's over this bottom left corner away as soon as possible.
Yep.
Because the black goes.
I think he can go on it now.
I think he'd play on it now. He plays the one that's in the middle of the table, drifts the cue ball down into that gap and just takes it away as soon as possible.
Okay, I was thinking he's going to play this top right corner and just land on the back of the red.
He could do that. I mean, there's no. It's how he's feeling now, isn't it, and how he sees it. But he might play your way. He might even leave it till the end.
Yeah.
And then come this side and then swing it round the angles for the black in the same pocket.
He may leave these two yellows on the left side of the table to the last two balls and just top onto the red.
Yeah.
He's looked at both options.
And he could even take the black in the middle then also. I mean, it depends how he sees it and how he feels.
He's not got the kiss though. He's not got the kiss.
He's okay.
He is okay, but he is the top side of it now.
Yeah, now he might, if he can get over for the yellow in the middle, it's not too bad.
Just needed
like
a full
punch shot, like a punch draw or something.
Yeah, needed a full ball contact in these.
Like a punch screw shot. I don't know if he can miss the red.
And we are right behind that ball. I can look across at the table.
He can definitely pot.
So now he's going my way, I think.
Needs to hold up.
Great shot.
Hold up.
Really good shot.
Yeah.
But now he needs to play another good shot.
He's got to thread the white through the gap of the red and the black and land on the one on the rail.
And we're talking about the red and the
That's
black.
not easy.
The red that's adjacent to the.
No, it's like one of them horrible little half screwy stun shots, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it could be a case of just potting it and just try and kiss this red to the right of where the cue ball is now.
Yeah, and just take your medicine and play it long.
Yeah, just give yourself one good shot to back yourself that one good shot to win. Because that's tough to get between that gap without kissing either of them two balls.
Yeah.
It is from the angle.
And it's the wrong angle as well. I like that shot.
He played your shot, and he played your shot even better because he just caught the edge of the red, which he only took the cue ball a couple of inches closer, but
it's got a perfect angle.
Does make the difference.
Yeah, it's got that nice little angle as well.
So
it's better than being straight.
Scott Gillespie now 4 balls away. It's not a formality, but 4 balls away from the title.
And having played pretty average, to be fair, and to be generous by saying that, through...
Oh my goodness.
He just caught the near knuckle on the way in.
Well, I mean, you've said it a few times today. That really was the black.
Yeah.
If he makes that, it pretty much is a formality from where that cue ball is.
Oh, that was a match.
Look at it. It's just literally.
And to be fair, he hit it pretty good. I mean, he missed it as good as he could miss it, let's say.
And absolutely ruined his chance there.
You might say, well, why did he hit it so hard? And the reason why he hit it so hard is because he had to be low on the yellow because of where the other one is on the middle. He couldn't have the angle that he left the shot before. So he did have to play it at that pace. But he just caught the near knuckle on the way in. And as Daz said, that the pockets have started to tighten up that little bit because the table's not brand new anymore and the conditions, the cloth wears on the cushions and doesn't slide in as much.
We've got another twist now. We could be looking at 10-10.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
indeed.
here's Liam's break.
Liam's got the break. Wow.
It's hard to see a mistake here. These are pretty much as easy as they get.
Wow,
This game is full of twists and turns.
Unbelievable, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people at home will be thinking they might have fancied their chances in this match. But it shows you how these pros, I mean, you just never know. They're all human. I don't know if he's played such a great shot here, Nick.
No.
He's landed a little bit straighter than he wants. He's just about okay. He's got a slight angle, but he's not got the angle what he should have.
Yeah.
So he has to be careful here. He needs to put a good stroke on this.
Yeah. It's okay. I mean, this is off the rail, but just off straight.
But he really wanted to be off the rail and out there for the opposite pocket. But it should be okay as long as you don't move. Yeah, he's made it.
Yes. So 10-9, and as we said, another twist in the tail. Just as Scott Gillespie, so close. It's a game of fractions. I mean, you saw Scott when he missed that shot go back to his seat. And he just put up his fingers like, just millimeters in it. And then, I mean, that was game ball.
Yeah.
If he makes that, he wins. And now, Liam Dunster comes back. If he can break and dish here, well, Scott Gillespie will be breaking for the title. And pressure will be so much on. Well...
Yeah, he scratched on it. He went in off on his last break, so this is a big one.
Yeah.
And be interested to see if he changes anything about his break.
The event almost deserves a hill. It's got to be said.
Well, I think this match does because they both really struggled. So
there'll be people with
might well finish it off with decider.
There'll be people with bets. There'll be people who own percentages of the Calcutta that don't agree with me one way or the other. Some will want. Obviously, the decider and others will be cheering on Scott, but now this is a crucial break for Liam, and he lost some white on his last break. He's been pretty consistent. He's been breaking through the front ball. The white ball has nearly every break come back through, hitting the rail around about where the bulk line meets the rail. But the last time, he just hit it wrong, went off in the middle. So now this one becomes even more important. He's studying this rack really closely, every gap, just making sure he gives himself every chance to make a brawl, realizing how important this is. He'll be desperate for a ball.
Enough.
Straight in the same pocket again.
Oh my goodness.
Well, he actually went in the middle last time.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
But
Look at the yellows. I mean...
Well, these... Well, how do you like these? I mean, seriously.
if
you couldn't really put these better with your hand.
No, and having missed, obviously, the finish in the last frame, when you miss finishes, especially to clinch matches and clinch titles, the next one gets a bit harder, and well, these couldn't be any easier.
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to see how he can mess these up.
It's impossible. There's no way he's missing this. And
I mean, the only way he can do it is some positional error. It's impossible to miss one of the balls because they're all so close to the pocket.
Yeah.
So it's all positional, really.
Yeah, it's just about
you have to focus. You have to focus and route your plan. Don't just pot the ball and think, "Oh, I'm going to be okay."
Yep.
Make sure. It's so easy to get lazy and lose position, but I mean, it's very hard to lose position, even if you lose position.
All about cue ball control here. Would you suggest he's just going to work his way down through the balls, leaving the one closest to us?
Well, I'm just trying to think what he's doing, so I'm guessing he's following this through.
Yeah.
I think he actually played for the plant here, which I think was the wrong shot.
I do as well. I think he should have played the one in the middle first shot and just bumped the other yellow in just down 2 inches.
Yeah. The plant's okay if he gets perfect on it.
Then
like dead straight.
Yeah, then potted the one he just potted and topped the white round the 2 angles. Then the one in the middle, one in the other middle, one over the corner. That was definitely his route.
Yeah, no, it's turned out okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
A little bit trickier than what it should have been. Yeah, it'll have like 3 stop shots, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, at this point, it just can't be easy enough.
Wow.
It can't be easy enough.
He's given himself something to do, though,
Yeah.
He has given himself something to do.
The other thing he's done, he's pushed the red into the path of the black, hasn't he? So he doesn't want to leave this till the last ball now.
Now he's taking his last ball.
Yep. Yep.
Wow. I'm telling you what.
How close did he get to the face of those 2 reds? My goodness.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, Nick, he's making it more difficult to get on the black.
Yeah.
I think he's okay now, though. I think he can just pot the one that's in the middle of the table.
I don't think he'll play it, though, Gareth, because it's missable.
No, I think he'll play it.
He should play it, but will he play it?
I think he has to play it because the one over the middle has to be his last ball, isn't it, for the black?
I'm not convinced he's going to play it.
Yeah, he is.
Just needs to play this confidently. And that's...
he played it really nice.
Yeah, that's a really good shot. And now just these 2 balls. As I say, nothing could be simple enough.
No.
Oh,
he
dear
just
me.
he made sure he's having a shot on it.
Never play that tentatively. Goodness.
Well,
so this for the title.
Yes.
And I think he'll be a deserved winner, in my opinion.
And Scott Gillespie
Deserved winner.
fist pumps, and he is the winner. Wow, that's an absolutely incredible feat by him, coming through this field of 128. If he came with...
Yeah, I think over the week, in my opinion, he was the best player throughout the week, for what I've seen. I think a very deserved champion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Okay, first of all, I'll have a little chat with Liam. Great tournament, Liam. Didn't quite get there in the final, but everybody's seen what a class player you are. What's your thoughts on the event? You played World Rules for the first time, and you played, a guy that you've known for a long time as well. I mean, it is tough. It's been a long 3 days, and to keep your level for 3 days, it's difficult, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I think you've done yourself credit to get to the final, and I'm sure you'll get to many more. So congratulations to Liam for making the final. "12 months ago, we had a conversation when you lost to Rob Warren in the, I think it was the Supreme Masters final. That was £10,000 the winner, that one. And I said to you, you'll be back, you're a great player, I'm sure you'll win one of these. And within 12 months, you've done exactly that, and you must be proud of yourself for that."
Come on! Yeah. See, to be honest, I mean, that's probably the worst I've played all weekend, and I mean, Liam played terrible as well, but I seemed to find something at the end there. Don't get me wrong, I twitched every ball at the end frame, but I'm delighted to win this, because for me, this is probably one of the biggest events I think that's ever been in pool. So for me to win the first one, I'm delighted.
Yeah, you'll definitely go down in history for winning the first ever Supreme Pool Series, and it's the first time for many, many years that we've got all the best players playing together, and that is a credit to everybody that's entered, but for you to win, it's a special achievement. So well done, Scott, and we'll get the trophy for you and the £5,000. So if I just invite Lee Grout in, I'll get out of the way. Lee Grout, if anybody doesn't know, I'm sure you do, is our right-hand man. So the Supreme Pool Series Event 1 winner of the Jason Owen Open is Scott Gillespie. Scott takes home £5,000 and the coveted trophy. And also, I'm sure there's somebody watching on the internet named Kevin Moyes who has backed him in the Calcutta, £22,000. So I'm sure he'll be a very happy man. We are still live. Okay, whilst they just do the photographs, I just want to run through a few thank yous. First of all, to Supreme Pool. They've sponsored the whole series. Strachan for the cloth, Aramith for the balls. Jason Owen for sponsoring this event. And then the other co-sponsors for the series, Home Leisure Direct, K8.com, the Shark Supreme Rack. Quiet please everybody. The Shark Supreme Rack, which I think you'll all agree has been a good addition to the event. Jed from the Winning Post. Also, the shirts that Mint have done, I think they've done a great job with them for the fans to have, and the players and the officials. Talking of officials, the referees, George and his team, have done a great job, so thanks very much. It's been a long weekend, and I appreciate your support, and we'll no doubt see you at the next one. I'll work down the list. So the arena, I'm sure you'll agree the arena's a cracking arena. I helped design it with Nigel Craig from Ireland, and he shipped it over. I think, you know, he's done a great job there, so I think thanks to Nigel for that. Then we go over to the guys in the corner that have worked the socks off. Everybody thinks you get paid too much. I can assure you they don't get paid anywhere near as much as they should get paid, and hopefully Pool will get to where we can pay them what they deserve. So I'll name them personally. You've got Paul from Beard, he's the face of the company. You've got George, the technical man that does all the hard work and getting the streams up and running. The new guy on the scene, Sam on the camera there, who's stepped. Nick, who's been in every match. Nick, friend, thanks very much. And everybody who's commentated, we've had Darren who's come and helped us out, Gareth's done quite a few, and everybody else who's chipped in and helped. All right, thanks very much. But behind everything, we spent 9 months. The man on my left-hand side has been my rock. When social media goes mad, I say when social media goes mad, he's the man that sort of tries, keeps me on track, and you know, Paul and Andy Sheldon and all the people that do things in the background that none of you guys see. Thanks a lot to all of you, and we'll see you at the next event.
what a wonderful speech there from Lee Kendall, and you could hear the emotion in his voice. He thoroughly enjoyed that. Guys, I already summed up what I felt of this tournament. Can you just give us a brief summary of what it's been like for you?
Yeah, well, for me, it's the best thing that I've seen an English 8-ball for a long, long time. When all of the politics and all of the split happened, 8-ball was left in a bad place, and English 8-ball, and it's been left, and it is in a bad place. Even now, they were playing for prize money that they were playing for in the 90s. In relative terms, it's bad. And anyway, this event has just been a breath of fresh air. All the best players on the planet basically are here, and for me, Scott, as Darren said, has played the best over the 3 days as a fully deserved winner. To be fair, Liam will be absolutely gutted the way he performed in that final, and obviously his speech there wasn't the best that came across, and I think he was just that gutted that he didn't know what to say. In all fairness to him, he was just probably a little bit shell-shocked at how he'd played, having given how he'd performed over the last 3 days. But on a whole, it's been a massive success. Lee has put a huge amount of work into it, and you can see him there in the background of how happy he is. Everyone's shaking his hand, and you could there's just a nice vibe about the arena there, where everyone was shouting and saying well done and great effort, and all that obviously will go a long way, and this tournament has a big future.
Yeah, and for you, Darren?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I feel for Liam. I mean, he'll learn from that. You take defeat a lot harder when you're younger.
Yeah.
Because you think you're invincible, you know what I mean? So when you do get beat, it hurts more. I've sort of been in that situation. And then when you look back, you think, well, I probably should have tried to make more effort in the interview. So, I mean, he's got a great career ahead of him. Scott, great guy, really happy for him. I mean, the event itself, I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, it's the greatest thing what's ever happened to English 8-ball. So, I mean, that's the only reason why I'm playing. So, I mean, it's all credit to the team, yourselves. I mean, all the hard work you've done here is amazing. Bringing it to the viewers and to all the fans out there. I mean, and Lee Kendall and his team. We have the right people running doing it. In my opinion, that's not knocking anyone else out there, but Lee and his team, they're doing it right, and it's going to get bigger, better, and I think the next event's just going to be even better, and it's just going to get stronger and stronger. Yeah,
I mean, and again, from my perspective, to sit here next to a couple of my heroes in the game, a couple of legends, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's one of the reasons why I started doing this. So thanks very much for joining us for this final. To everyone watching at home, I don't think I can sum it up any better than what Darren's just said. The greatest thing that's ever happened to Paul. And we'll be back for the second event on July the 13th. All these players, the great and the good of the game, it's a who's who of Pool. We'll be reassembling. Join us here. We'll be back at 10 a.m. on that morning. Set your alarm clocks. And a thanks to everyone involved. See you all again very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.